It was originally a small black snake, living a normal life in a poor rural village. Because it devoured a villager named Nyan Dan, it gained sentience. At first, it intended to imitate other demons, quietly cultivating in the forest. But during one of its hunts for food, it encountered a strange man. The man claimed to be the reincarnation of the immortal emperor. At that time, however, it had no idea what an immortal emperor was. Its instincts only warned it that this man was extremely dangerous. So, to avoid being killed or turned into snake wine, it gritted its teeth and swallowed the man whole. Unexpectedly, the man didn't die. Instead, he shattered its demon core, thinking that it would soon reunite with its ancestors. It was shocked to instead receive the true Dragon 9 transformations technique. With this technique, it could devour dragon scales as food, beginning its path to transforming into a dragon. It took its first step into the brutal world of cultivation. The sun was slowly setting, painting the sky in a deep golden hue. Birds soared across the sky, swiftly flying back to their nests. Along the road of a small village, people called to each other. It's getting dark. Everyone hurry home. These days haven't been very peaceful. On a certain path, a man stood on the steps, holding a branch in one hand, and a rattling bell in the other, reminding everyone to light incense, lock their doors, and not let the black serpent crawl into their houses. People were returning from their work. An old man carrying a bamboo basket on his shoulder, looking anxious. I heard the black serpent devoured 2 people near the mountain god's shrine a few days ago, he said. One of them was even a Taoist priest. Another person replied, now it doesn't seem to eat people, but many chickens and ducks in the village have gone missing. In front of the mountain god's shrine, a father and his young son, little Niu, were preparing to head home. Little Niu, while stuffing grass into a basket, said to his father, we should also bring our chickens inside at night. Better for them to stink a bit than to be stolen. The father agreed. Yes, if the black serpent eats them, it would be a huge loss. The two quickly shouldered their baskets, and the father urged, hurry up, it's getting cold. The mountain god's shrine looked simple and desolate, surrounded by ancient trees. Large and small stones were scattered across the steps of the courtyard, and even on the roof, there was a massive boulder. At first glance, the entire shrine looked rather gloomy. From within the shrine, 2 eerie lights flickered. Inside, a gigantic snake slowly moved. It lay within the shrine, listening to the conversation of the father and son outside, wondering, is the black serpent they're talking about me? Its eyes widened, recalling the time that had passed. Lost in thought, it couldn't quite remember how old it was. Heish, black serpent, gradually coiled around the statue of the mountain god. He didn't believe himself to be that terrifying. After all, he thought he was quite adorable. Not as frightening as the villagers described. Heish slithered along the pillars, coiling around the statue of the mountain god, recalling recent events, and especially the taste of those 2 from a few days ago. He flicked his bright red tongue. Yes, it was true. He had eaten them. Flashback. Back then, the tranquility of the shrine was shattered by a blood-curdling scream. Help me, help me. A man's desperate voice rang out. You are a Nyan Dan, meant for cultivators to consume and strengthen themselves. After stealing so many of my herbs, how could I let you escape? A man, drenched in sweat, his face smeared with tears and snot, clasped his hands together, crying and bowing repeatedly before the mountain god's statue. Please, Lord Mountain God, save me. Please, Lord Mountain God, save me. Heish observed the scene, noting that at the time, he still couldn't fully understand human speech. But the man's pained expression looked truly pitiful. So miserable that Heish felt sorry for him. Thinking that he was offering relief, Heish opened his mouth wide and swallowed the man whole. As he devoured him, he thought, so, I've helped him be free. Soon after, another person entered, an old man wearing a yellow robe and hat, holding a whisk in his hand. Upon seeing Heish swallowing the man, the old man shouted, no, my medicine. Heish looked at the old man and couldn't help but feel pity again. The old man's eyes were filled with rage, his white beard trembling along with his furious words. Worthless beast, that Nyan Dan is something I've nurtured for 10 years. Spit it out, give it back to me. Annoyed by the man's loud complaints, Heish lunged forward and swallowed him whole as well. As he devoured him, Heish thought joyfully, now, those 2 miserable souls can be reunited together. Unexpectedly, That meal left Heish feeling full and satisfied. And from that moment, he attained enlightenment. He awakened his spiritual senses, not only developing his demonic essence but also gaining true sentience. From then on, Heish learned about many dangerous and terrifying things he had previously been unaware of. He recalled a time when he went out to catch mice, but was chased by a masked man dressed in black, who shouted, "Don't run." Looking back now, Heish realized that the man was a snake catcher, a cultivator from the snake sect. He also remembered another occasion, when he witnessed them killing a giant python. They continuously hurled talismans at the beast, wounding it severely. It turned out that human cultivators could be incredibly powerful. Heish recalled what he had learned. Cultivators could train and strengthen themselves, constantly improving their cultivation level. From the chi refining stage, where their bodies became stronger, capable of breaking tree trunks with a single blow, to the foundation establishment stage, where their bodies were firm and steady, unaffected by the surrounding birds and creatures. Then to the core formation stage, and even the nascent soul stage, where their enhanced abilities allowed them to soar through the skies, and even defy the natural order. Heish shuddered at the memory. All his previous escapes had been sheer luck. Blind luck from not knowing what to fear. Reflection and hunger. Every time he saw a human figure, Heish would tremble uncontrollably. Eventually, he came to a conclusion. Humans were terrifying. Cultivators were even more terrifying. Having gained sentience wasn't easy. He had to live well and survive. Heish fell into deep thought. Hunting birds and beasts was too risky with humans around. Stealing poultry was much safer. Just as he thought of this, his stomach let out a loud growl. "Ah, I'm hungry again," he murmured to himself. But then, he considered, chickens and ducks are not enough to fill me. And now they're even harder to steal. Suddenly, he stopped. His purple eyes gleamed with excitement. "Wait, I remember something." Without hesitation, Heish slithered quickly towards the entrance of the mountain god's shrine. "I heard that in Tran Family Town, there's a wealthy household that raises pigs. Maybe I should go take a look." As he approached the entrance, Heish tilted his head and noticed a painting on the wall. He stopped to observe it thoughtfully. "I've heard that humans all have names. I should give myself a name too." The image of Shu Xian holding an umbrella and a lady in white appeared in Heishi's mind. He made his decision. "I like the story of Shu Xian that humans tell. But everyone just calls me the Black Serpent. So, I'll call myself Shu Hei." Tran Family Town. Late at night. Tran Family Town was deep in the stillness of the night. The houses stood closely together, surrounded by terraced fields. Beyond them were forests and tall mountain ranges. A pair of glowing purple eyes peeked through the wooden fence. Soft rustling sounds disturbed the quiet darkness. Behind the fence, the tail of a pig flicked into view. Shu Hei raised his head, his bright red tongue flickering out, drool dripping onto the ground. "There it is." He stared hungrily at the plump pigs, sleeping soundly, sprawled around the pen. Shu Hei smacked his lips. "Those fat pigs. They look like they'll be enough to fill me up." He glanced around, noticing that the nearby houses were all dark. They must have gone to sleep by now. Swiftly, he lunged into the pig pen. His massive body crashed through the wooden fence, sending broken pieces flying everywhere. "Well, I won't be polite then." Without hesitation, Shu Hei opened his mouth wide and swallowed a pig whole. The other pigs, witnessing the terrifying scene, panicked and struggled frantically. Some squealed in terror, others bolted and ran. Oinking and squealing echoed throughout the pen. Seeing the chaos, Shu Hei grew alarmed. "Stop making so much noise. If they notice, it'll be the end of me." But among the pigs, there was one making the loudest noise, running around wildly, its squeals piercing the night. Furious, Shu Hei thought to himself. If that's the case, he lowered his head, revealing his sharp fangs, and lunged at the pig that was crying the loudest. "I'll just have to swallow you too." Satisfied, Shu Hei let out a loud belch. "Ah, I'm so full." But then he suddenly froze. Maybe I ate too much." Feeling his belly stretch and his eyes grow heavy, Shu Hei glanced at the night sky. Just a few more hours until humans wake up and start their daily activities. Better rest a while first. With that, he curled his body into a coil and quickly drifted off to sleep. A night of chaos. A poor pig lay crushed under the weight of another, while the rest of the herd trembled nearby, staring at the chaos in fear. An hour later, A sudden noise tore through the quiet of the night. Who told you, brat, you could steal my woman? Another voice interrupted. Big brother, stop beating him. It looks like Tran Pham has stopped breathing. A cold, mocking laugh responded. So what if he's dead? He dared to steal a woman from young Master Ku. This is his end. Shu Hei groggily woke up. A shadowy figure appeared near the wooden fence of the pig pen. Calling for help. Help, someone. Hearing that, Shu Hei instantly became alert. Damn it, I fell asleep just now. Someone's coming. Moving swiftly, he climbed up a post within the pig pen. Humans are terrifying. Better hide first. The voices outside grew closer. Throw that brat into the pigsty. From above, Shu Hei looked down, silently praying that he wouldn't be discovered. Below, two men stood over Tran Pham, whose body lay sprawled on the ground, soaked in blood. The man in brown clothing said, Big brother, he's really dead. The man wearing blue sneered. HMPH, trash like him deserves to be pig feed. Leave his body here and let the pigs eat him. They quickly left. One of them urged, Let's go. He's dead. There's nothing more to do. The other scratched his head. Am I imagining things? Why does it seem like there are fewer pigs than before? A pig wandered close to Tran Pham, sniffing his bloodied body. Shu Hei, watching from above, stuck his head down to take a look. He saw Tran Pham lying motionless, completely drenched in blood. The scene was truly pitiful. A pig sniffed curiously at Tran Pham's head, while Shu Hei clicked his tongue. They say corpses bring bad luck. Better leave. Suddenly, Tran Pham's eyes shot open, bloodshot and filled with madness. His entire face was wounded, making him look terrifying. Shu Hei, being so close, was startled beyond belief. His eyes widened, his mouth gaping in shock. Alive? Alive again? A corpse coming back to life? He stammered. Below, Tran Pham planted one hand on the ground, the other clutching his mouth as he coughed violently. Cough, cough, cough. He mumbled to himself. Finally. Suddenly, Tran Pham dropped to his knees, raised both arms to the sky, and burst into wild laughter. Ha ha ha, finally, I the immortal, have succeeded in soul possession and returned to life. The host's name was also Tran Pham? What a coincidence. Same name as mine, must be fate. He began to sift through the host's memories, a wicked smile spreading across his face. Abandoned, humiliated, crippled. If I have inherited your body, then I will naturally avenge you. I will not let those who insulted you go unpunished. From above, Shu Hei dangled on the roof, watching Tran Pham mutter to himself. Who's he talking to? Shu Hei wondered. Tran Pham rolled up his sleeves, tending to the wounds on his arm. The encounter. A cracking sound echoed. Tran Pham muttered to himself. Such serious injuries. If it weren't for me taking over this body, he would probably be dead by now. But this cannot be blamed on me. Above, Shu Hei observed Tran Pham's actions, whispering prayers to himself. Don't see me, don't see me. I need to get out of here. Just as Tran Pham was walking away, he suddenly turned his head and muttered. His eyes carried a hint of suspicion. Shu Hei lowered his head, opening his mouth slightly to reveal his 4 sharp fangs. But just then, Tran Pham turned back, looking directly at him. The sight terrified Shu Hei beyond belief. Tran Pham's voice rang out. There's a spiritual beast hiding up there. Panic filled Shu Hei's heart. Damn, I've been discovered. He said he's an immortal, right? A high-level cultivator. Could he be a snake hunter? What do I do now? He thought desperately. If he really is a snake hunter, I will definitely die without even having a place to be buried. Below, Tran Pham spoke softly. It's just a low-level spiritual beast. It's nothing worth my attention. With that thought, Tran Pham sat down, crossing his legs, placing his palms face up on his knees. 2 streams of spiritual energy emerged from his palms. He murmured to himself, I just need to channel my energy to heal my injuries. Releasing some spiritual energy should be enough to scare it away. Golden strands of spiritual energy began to swirl around Tran Pham, gradually forming the image of a golden dragon, its long horns gleaming as it opened its mouth wide. Above its head, a grayish-silver ancient cauldron hovered, radiating an ancient and mysterious aura. Tran Pham sensed it and laughed aloud. Ha ha, to think the demonic tribe's greatest treasure, the demonic god's cauldron, would revive alongside my consciousness. He continued with a smug tone. Taishu ancestral dragon, you miscalculated. Above, Shuhei trembled in fear. His mind filled with unease. Damn it, the snake hunter is starting his spell. He wants to kill me. He must have realized I stole his pigs and now wants revenge. But I'm not ready to die yet. His imagination began to run wild. He pictured Tran Pham killing him, skewering him on a stick, and roasting him over a blazing fire. Or worse, flaying off his scales, selling them for money. The more he thought about it, the more terrified he became. He trembled uncontrollably. No, I can't just wait here to die. He frantically searched for a solution. Should I give the pigs back? But I already digested them. Below, Tran Pham lowered his head, raising one hand, and chanted, "Heaven and earth are one. All beings share the same destiny." The spiritual energy around him grew thicker and thicker. Shuhei, seeing this, felt his mind descend into chaos. What do I do? What do I do? Tran Pham finished channeling his energy. His voice deep and resolute. In this life, I, Tran Pham, will surely conquer this world. As Tran Pham prepared to stand up, Shuhei gritted his teeth. No other choice. Just as Tran Pham finished declaring, "Everything shall tremble beneath my feet," Shuhei opened his mouth wide and lunged downward. The desperate struggle. Shuhei lamented internally. "You forced me to do this." His massive body moved across the ground, causing everything around him to shatter and break. He opened his mouth wide and snapped down onto Tran Pham's head. Only Tran Pham's legs were left outside, struggling frantically. This sudden attack shocked Tran Pham, who let out a gasp of surprise. Shuhei raised his head high and swallowed hard. With that, Tran Pham's entire body slid down his throat. Feeling triumphant but still cautious, Shuhei steadied himself. Success. It worked. But I can't be careless. He quickly forced his massive body through the fence, moving swiftly. This place is too dangerous. I have to leave now. Inside Shuhei's stomach, inside Shuhei's belly, Tran Pham was still alive. He looked around and found himself trapped in a tight, slimy, and nauseating space, wiping the sticky fluids off his face. Tran Pham was furious. A mere low-level spiritual beast, truly ignorant of life and death. I gave you a chance to run, but you dared to swallow me instead? The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He lowered his voice and muttered, "You're asking for death." Clenching his fists, Tran Pham gathered his energy. He steadied himself and struck the weakest part of Shuhei's stomach. The technique he used was called Great Sea Immeasurable Strike. The painful realization. Outside, as Shuhei was slithering away, he suddenly halted. His eyes widened in shock. From within his belly, a part of his stomach suddenly swelled. He lifted his head and howled in agony, letting out a long, desperate scream. What? How is he still alive? He can even cast spells inside my stomach? Tran Pham continued moving, his hands striking repeatedly at the stomach walls. He planted one foot firmly, then used the other to kick Shuhei's stomach wall with full force. The pain made Shuhei moan in misery. "Ah, it hurts." He tried to reassure himself. "Don't be afraid, stay calm. I have Tran Pham inside me. As long as I keep moving, I can escape." But then, Tran Pham stumbled upon something. A purple gem, embedded in Shuhei's flesh. He sneered. Demonic core. Found it. The shattering of hope. Just as Shuhei was trying to compose himself, he saw Tran Pham approach his demonic core and gasped. "What? No." Tran Pham reached out his hand toward the glowing purple core, smirking. "A mere demonic core is protection? And you thought you could devour me with this?" Seeing Tran Pham's hand about to touch his core, Shuhei panicked. "No, that's my lifeline." But Tran Pham had already grabbed the core. Applying pressure, cracks began to appear on its surface. He raised his voice. "Now, die." The demonic core shattered. The explosive force from the core's destruction caused Shuhei's body to burst with injuries. His body was riddled with wounds, blood gushing from his mouth. Despair flooded Shuhei's mind. "My demonic core. This snake hunter is too terrifying, too powerful." The pain was overwhelming. Shuhei thrashed his massive body, sending dust and debris flying everywhere. But the more he struggled, the worse his injuries became. A sharp tree branch pierced through his upper jaw, and a fleeting thought passed through his mind. "It hurts. Am I about to die?" He tried to move his body but couldn't. "I really can't accept this. I had already formed my demonic core." His eyes reflected utter despair. The aftermath of despair. Tears rolled down Shu Hei's face. He had clearly gained sentience. But now he faced death. I really can't accept this, he thought. If I had known this would happen, I would never have stolen those pigs. Horrifying scenes flashed before his eyes. A row of sharp teeth tearing into bloody flesh. Inside Shu Hei's body, Tran Pham stood, tearing apart the flesh and devouring it, while muttering, really can't kill me. Huh? Might as well eat some snake meat to replenish my energy. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared, sending fragments scattering everywhere. Tran Pham glanced over and muttered, huh? The demonic god's cauldron was floating in the cramped space. Tran Pham questioned himself. Why did the demonic god's cauldron come out on its own? He reached out his hand and chanted, return. But the demonic god's cauldron continued moving forward. Tran Pham was astonished. What? Why isn't it responding? What is happening? The demonic god's cauldron moved towards the shattered demonic core. The light became increasingly blinding. Tran Pham shielded his eyes. Ah, too bright. What's going on? The broken demonic core glowed more intensely, its golden light spreading everywhere. A golden dragon emerged, its expression ferocious, eyes burning brightly as it stared directly at Tran Pham. The demonic god's cauldron moved closer to the broken demonic core. Seeing this, Tran Pham was shocked. What? The demonic god's cauldron is absorbing the shattered demonic core of this beast? Sweat dripped down Tran Pham's forehead. My demonic god's cauldron. Why is it helping a beast? Could it be this creature isn't just an ordinary snake? The dragon's head grew larger, its eyes meeting his directly. Tran Pham shouted in panic. This is bad. The golden dragon opened its mouth wide, inhaling the demonic core. Tran Pham was also pulled in, his scream echoing loudly. Ah! The shattering and rebirth. The force caused by the demonic core's destruction exploded with energy within Shu Hei's body. From his mouth and eyes, golden light shot out like a torrent. The energy burst through his body, splitting it apart. Every wound emitted golden light. Tran Pham's flesh began to tear away. Bit by bit, he screamed in disbelief and rage. I am an immortal. This cannot be. In the end, all that remained were drops of blood floating in the air, along with a desperate, resounding scream. Dawn. The darkness gradually faded. The sun began to peek over the mountaintops. Morning light covered the land. Shu Hei's massive body lay scattered across the ground, broken into pieces. Nearby, butterflies fluttered gracefully, while the herd of pigs still trembled in fear from the horrific events of the night. Each pig's face was filled with terror. A weak voice groaned. So painful. A tail covered in sharp spikes slithered along the ground, accompanied by sobs of pain. When the image of a complete snake finally appeared, it slithered toward a small puddle and stopped. Tears streamed down its face. What was strange was that, in the puddle's reflection, there was the head of a dragon instead of a snake. My demonic core. It's gone. Suddenly, a pig with furious eyes bit down hard on Shu Hei's tail. His body twisted and writhed across the ground. The pigs surrounded him, sniffing and poking at his battered body. Discovery and transformation. The pig bit down on Shu Hei's tail with all its strength, refusing to let go as it tugged and pulled. Suddenly, the tail twitched slightly, then lifted up, raising the pig high into the air. Shu Hei used his tail to hoist the pig up, opened his mouth wide, and shouted angrily, "Stop biting my tail." He let the pig fall to the ground with a thud, snorting coldly, "Damn pigs, just wait, I'll devour all of you later." His tail trembled slightly. A long crack ran along the tail, exposing the raw flesh beneath. Shu Hei lifted his tail to inspect the damage and winced. My tail, it's injured. Damn pigs, he muttered, but then suddenly stopped. Wait, am I still alive? He remembered Tran Pham crushing his demonic core with his hand. I remember. That guy shattered my demonic core. But, I'm still alive? Shu Hei recalled his original massive body, which was as large as a mighty ox. Now, all he could do was bury his head in the dirt and weep. For a demonic beast, the demonic core was the foundation of cultivation. Without it, how could he continue to grow stronger? If it was completely destroyed. Then, suddenly, he lifted his head, his tear-streaked face looking confused. No, if my demonic core was destroyed, how am I still alive? Could it be? Peering into his own body, Shu Hei saw the demonic god's cauldron within him. He mumbled to himself, The demonic god's cauldron. The one Tran Pham mentioned? He bent down to inspect more closely. Why is it where my demonic core should be? Could it be it replaced my demonic core and saved me? The more Shu He looked, the more amazed he became. He noticed that his body had become transparent. He clicked his tongue. Not only that, why can I see my own insides so clearly? To confirm his suspicion, Shu He glanced at the pig in front of him. As expected, he could see the pig's bones and organs clearly. He then turned to look at a tree nearby. He could see tiny nests hidden deep within the tree's trunk, where insects squirmed and moved about. Shu He came to a conclusion. I can now see the world around me clearly. Is this divine sense? Fantastic. This is a skill only true genius cultivators possess. I can't believe I have it. Excited, Shu He wagged his tail, feeling like his head had grown 2 extra radar-like sensors. He grinned to himself. Even with my eyes closed, I can see everything so clearly. Hunting for food, avoiding predators, and dodging humans will be so much easier from now on. But then, he stopped his joyful thoughts, his blue-green eyes flashing with astonishment. Wait, there's more. Deep within his mind, Shu He began to explore. He found a space that resembled a starry night sky, vast and limitless. Floating within that space was a shadowy figure. Sitting cross-legged, luminous lines ran along its body, glowing with a faint purple light. Surrounding it were various colorful orbs, drifting gently through the air. Shu He burst out laughing with glee. Looks like a lot of stuff got pulled in here. This must be that boy's cultivation method. His gaze sharpened. Yes, it has to be. Suddenly, Shu He felt an itch on his head. He coiled his body into a spiral on the ground, trying to scratch it. The path to cultivation. Although Shu He didn't know exactly what this mysterious object was, he was sure it could help him heal. Maybe I should try cultivating like that guy did, he thought. Shu He closed his eyes, recalling the moment when Tran Pham sat cross-legged. He remembered Tran Pham's words. Heaven and earth are the board. All beings are the pieces. But then he frowned, confused. My demonic core was shattered. It shouldn't be possible to gather spiritual energy anymore, right? Could it be that this cauldron is my new demonic core? The thought was bizarre, but Shu He decided to put it aside for now. Forget it. I need to leave this cursed place first. Find a safe place to hide and rest for a few days. That boy was already so powerful. I must never provoke humans again. As he prepared to leave, the herd of pigs around him sighed with relief. But suddenly, Shu He turned his head, his eyes gleaming as he looked at the pigs. But before I go, he charged back at them, causing the pigs to scatter in all directions, their squeals echoing throughout the entire area. First, I need to fill my belly. By the stream, at a secluded stream, green moss covered the stones, while the gentle sound of water trickling created a peaceful atmosphere. Shu He was bathing beneath a waterfall, letting the water flow over his body. His tail was coiled around a rabbit, and he looked completely relaxed. Since devouring Nyan Dan and awakening his spiritual senses, Shu He had been gaining new knowledge continuously. After swallowing Tran Pham, he felt his condition improving day by day. The revelation. Several days later, in the early morning, Shu He finally began to understand the cultivation system humans spoke of. So, demonic beasts can cultivate like human cultivators? Their cultivation process was divided into stages. The ranks of demonic beasts were categorized as follows. Spiritual Awareness Stage, Thom Lin KY. Foundation Establishment Stage, Truck Ko KY. Demonic Core Stage, Yudan KY. Nascent Soul Stage, Nguyen An KY. He compared himself to a fox. At the Spiritual Awareness Stage, a fox would be smarter than others of its kind. At the Foundation Establishment Stage, its aura would become more human-like. At the Demonic Core Stage, it would begin forming a golden core within its body. By the Nascent Soul Stage, the fox would grow 9 tails, its aura becoming increasingly enchanting and powerful. Shu He flicked his tongue as he assessed his own cultivation level. Right now, I'm at the peak of the first level of the Spiritual Awareness Stage. That's equivalent to the peak of the first level of the Qi Refining Stage for humans. In his dreams, Shu He started to long for greater power. After witnessing other demonic beasts tear the heavens and split the earth, he also desired to achieve such greatness. If I want to stop being hunted, if I want to live peacefully, then I have to walk the path of cultivation. He found a cave and settled inside. From then on, Shu Hei began his cultivation. He raised his head, his body coiling and uncoiling repeatedly, chanting, "Heaven and earth are the board. All beings are the pieces." Mysterious cultivation. For several days, Shu Hei practiced the mysterious technique diligently. The cave occasionally burst with brilliant light. Soon, he made a surprising discovery. This technique wasn't only for healing. One day, while cultivating, he suddenly felt a stomachache. He hurriedly slithered outside to relieve himself. He thought, after cultivating so much, my excrement must have improved, right? But to his disappointment, it was still the same as before. The smell was so unbearable that Shu Hei covered his nose with his tail and sighed. So stinky. However, the technique had other benefits. It could strengthen his body and purify his bones and marrow. Training and growth. A layer of shed skin dangled from a dry branch at the edge of the forest. Not only had Shu Hei expelled many impurities from his body, but he also molted once. 1 week later, Shu Hei completed his cultivation process. He tested his strength by striking his tail against the cave wall, sending rocks tumbling to the ground. A snake radiating an imposing aura opened its mouth to reveal sharp fangs. Its eyes glowed brightly in the dark. Sure enough, something had changed. Before, the horns on Shu Hei's head were longer, and his scales were tougher, giving him a majestic appearance. But his expression darkened. What the hell is going on? Shu Hei's current length was only 6 feet. He was dissatisfied. How did I become so tiny? Clearly, before shedding his skin, he could coil himself into a massive circle. But from 33 feet, he had shrunk to just 6 feet. Look at me now. Even if I raise my head high, I'm only as tall as a bird. Out of frustration, Shu Hei lashed his tail at a passing bird. The bird couldn't react in time and was instantly caught. He swallowed the bird whole and comforted himself. Although my body has become smaller, my speed and strength have increased greatly. My flexibility has also become much stronger. My skin and flesh can stretch several times over. If I put in the effort, I can still swallow larger prey. Understanding the demonic god's cauldron. Shu Hei recalled the demonic god's cauldron within his body. He was now certain that the demonic god's cauldron had become his new demonic core. He had a strong feeling that when the cauldron was filled with spiritual energy, he would experience a breakthrough. So, he threw himself into training with insane determination. He bathed under cold waterfalls, threw logs into the air and caught them, wrapped his tail around tree trunks, training like doing pull-ups. Sometimes, he even slammed his head into rocks to practice a technique he called Iron Head Art. The realization. After a while, he came to a conclusion. Training consumes too much energy. The technique could help him absorb spiritual energy. But that alone wasn't enough. Demonic beasts couldn't survive without food. If he wanted to break through, he would need a large amount of energy and blood to replenish himself. Realizing this, Shu Hei decided to go out and hunt for a good meal. The hunt. Nearby, there was a wild boar with gleaming eyes and 2 sharp tusks, busily munching on watermelons. Shu Hei grinned wickedly. Hee hee, a wild boar, huh? Looks like I found myself a feast. Although wild boars were large and could be dangerous, Shu Hei's current physical state, which was at the peak of the first level of the spiritual awareness stage, was far superior. The wild boar hadn't even developed spiritual awareness, so it was far below Shu Hei's level. When the wild boar heard a rustling sound behind it, it turned its head abruptly. All it saw was a small snake's tail wiggling in the grass. Shu Hei had hidden his body within the grass, whispering to himself, "As long as I prepare well, I might be able to have a satisfying meal." With that, Shu Hei opened his mouth and picked up a stone. His tail coiled around another stone. One well-aimed strike, and I can kill it. He slithered through the grass, moving steadily towards the wild boar's back, muttering to himself, "Good, it hasn't noticed me. Just a little closer. Just a little more." The wild boar attack. Suddenly, Shu Hei let out a startled yelp, dropping the stone from his mouth. The wild boar turned its head, its eyes gleaming ominously in the darkness. Its 2 sharp tusks made it look even more ferocious. Sweating nervously, Shu Hei whispered to himself, "Did I make it mad?" The wild boar opened its mouth wide, letting out a terrifying roar that sprayed saliva everywhere. It looked absolutely frightening. Shu Hei frantically slithered away, with the wild boar chasing after him relentlessly. He cried out in panic. Ah, no, stop chasing me, damn it, why is it so terrifying? Ahead of him was a sheer cliff, forcing Shuhei to come to an abrupt halt. He muttered, "Ah shit, I've been chased into a dead end." Grabbing a few stones nearby with his tail, he steeled himself. No, I can't keep running forever. I have to fight back with everything I've got, or I'm done for. He swung his tail, hurling the stones backwards, and shouted, "I have to counterattack." The wild boar snorted dismissively, watching the stones being thrown at it. Shuhei's voice echoed, "I have to injure it first." But before he could finish his sentence, the wild boar staggered and collapsed. Its body was covered in wounds. Staring at the wild boar lying before him, Shuhei completed his sentence. And then all, huh? Is it dead already? He stammered. Did I actually kill it? Am I this strong? As he observed the unmoving wild boar, Shuhei suddenly felt something was off. He coiled his tail around a stone, grinning wickedly. Wild boars are pretty smart, right? Maybe it's just plain dead. He hurled several more stones at the wild boar, shouting, "I need to make sure it's really dead." Looking at the boar's bloodied, motionless body, Shuhei wiped the sweat from his forehead with his tail and sighed. Phew, it's definitely dead this time. That was way too close. I almost got killed by a wild boar. Still feeling uneasy, Shuhei cautiously approached the wild boar. He wrapped his tail around one of its legs, observing carefully while muttering, "Wait, what if it's playing dead and tries to attack me again?" To ensure it was truly dead, he tore the wild boar's limbs apart, leaving blood splattered everywhere. Seeing his opponent thoroughly dealt with, Shuhei clicked his tongue and said, "Now I can eat with peace of mind." He grabbed one of the wild boar's legs with his tail, and began devouring it with great satisfaction. The meat is thicker than farmed pigs, with a wild, earthy flavor. But suddenly, Shuhei's eyes narrowed. Wait, something's not right. He began coughing violently. Cough, cough, bleg. He spat something out onto the ground. Angry and confused, he shouted, "What the hell was that? It's too hard." Looking down, he saw a round, green gemstone lying on the ground. He stared at it in shock. This is a demonic core? That wasn't an ordinary wild boar? Shuhei widened his eyes, staring at the green orb in amazement. This is definitely a demonic core. Fear flickered in his eyes. I've heard that demonic cores contain violent energy. You can't just swallow them carelessly. He gently touched the orb with his tail, deep in thought, consuming the demonic core. If not, I'll be torn apart and die. To absorb it, it must be refined into a pill. But I don't know how to refine pills. Shuhei recalled what he had learned. Eating and devouring demonic beasts in the wild was entirely part of natural law. In the past, Shuhei had seen a tiger devour a deer alive. If swallowing a demonic core could cause the body to explode, then wouldn't all demonic beasts have gone extinct by now? His eyes gleamed as he stared at the green demonic core. He rubbed his head with his tail and muttered, "Wait a minute, the knowledge I have is mostly related to humans." He flicked his long red tongue greedily. The physique of a demonic beast is different from that of a human. I should be able to eat it without any problems. Shuhei opened his mouth as wide as possible, moving toward the demonic core. No more politeness. But no matter how wide he opened his mouth, he couldn't swallow the demonic core. Struggling, Shuhei gasped, It's too hard to swallow." He used all his strength to force down the demonic core. Finally, he succeeded. Suddenly, his stomach began to glow. Shuhei looked down in surprise. My stomach. It's so hot. Inside his belly, a connection had formed between the demonic god's cauldron and the demonic core, linked by a thread of white spiritual energy. Seeing this, Shuhei was stunned. Could it be the demonic god's cauldron inside my body is absorbing the demonic core? With excitement and curiosity, Shuhei continued to watch the process. The power of the demonic core was rapidly being drawn into the cauldron. Ecstatic, Shuhei shouted, "It's here. That feeling is back." He raised his head and howled toward the sky, as a brilliant light spread everywhere. "I'm about to break through." Shuhei wagged his tail in excitement. On his tail, there were now 2 golden scales, gleaming brightly. He exclaimed joyfully, "I did it. I reached the 2nd level of the spiritual awareness stage." Thrilled, Shuhei twisted and coiled his body, celebrating his success. "I've reached the 2nd level of the spiritual awareness stage." But then he paused and looked at his tail. Huh? Why are there two golden scales on my tail? Curious, Shu Hei swung his tail against a nearby rock. The rock shattered into pieces, sending fragments flying everywhere. Amazed, Shu Hei praised himself. Wow, that's incredible. It's as sharp as metal. The human encounter. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the nearby grass. Shu Hei turned his head and scanned the area. What was that noise? It was little Niu, dressed in a blue shirt. His buttons unfastened, revealing his skinny chest. He held a trident, staring straight at Shu Hei. Sweat covered Shu Hei's head as he stammered. Human. And worse, it was a young human boy. The field around them was lush and green, as it was the watermelon harvest season. Large, round watermelons were scattered all over the ground, looking absolutely tempting. Little Niu gripped his trident tightly, pretending to make a threatening stance. Shu Hei also opened his mouth wide, assuming a defensive posture. Fearful, he mumbled to himself. Human. Shu Hei widened his eyes, staring at little Niu. What is he trying to do? That stance. Is he trying to attack me? Could he be a cultivator? Sweat poured down little Niu's face. He gripped the trident with trembling hands, trying his best to remain calm. The frightened escape, looking at the young boy's stance, readying to stab the trident towards him. Shu Hei's mind suddenly pictured Tran Pham. Back then, when Tran Pham attacked him, he shouted, "Little spiritual beast, prepare to be skewered." Shu Hei mumbled to himself. Could this be another Tran Pham? He saw the trident about to pierce his body and was startled. He shouted, "Danger!" Opening his mouth wide, he let out a loud shriek, thrashing his body around violently. The trident's handle snapped in half. Panicking, Shu Hei quickly fled. As he slithered away, he muttered, "Humans are so terrifying. Before his friends arrive, I need to run away." Leaving little Niu behind, the boy held the broken trident handle, staring blankly before bursting into laughter. Haha. The village scene. The scene shifts to a small house. Little Niu's voice echoed. Father, the black serpent ate the demonic boar. It killed mother. But it didn't eat me. The father's angry voice thundered. What nonsense are you talking about, boy? In the forest. Meanwhile, in the forest, Shu Hei slithered rapidly over rocks and through underbrush. He finally stopped at a stone staircase, panting heavily. Phew, no one's chasing me. That scared me half to death. But something felt off. He suddenly turned his head and muttered. Wait, wasn't he just a normal boy? Thinking back on his own actions, Shu Hei felt utterly pathetic. He flicked his tongue and scolded himself. Am I cursed or something? Why am I so afraid of young humans? Slithering away, he continued to berate himself. Damn it, I'm a demonic beast. I want to become a great beast that can split the heavens. If I keep acting like this, I'll never succeed. Looking around, he saw the lush trees and overgrown vegetation. In front of him was a shabby shrine. The scene looked familiar. The mountain god's shrine. In a low voice, Shu Hei muttered, I've made it to the mountain god's shrine. I should learn from humans and pray for safety. After all, I gained sentience here. Maybe this place is my lucky ground. In the dim light, the shrine looked old and partially ruined, giving it a strange and eerie feeling. Standing in front of the mountain god's statue, Shu Hei held a dry branch with his tail, pretending it was incense. He murmured in a solemn tone, Lord Mountain God, I've come to visit you again. I've heard that if you have inner demons, it can greatly hinder your cultivation. To eliminate them, you must be sincere. But as he spoke, he suddenly stopped, sniffing the air. He whispered, Huh? What's that smell? The feast before the statue. Shu Hei quickly crawled over to the table before the mountain god's statue. What he saw made his eyes gleam with greed. There were golden fried chicken, fragrant steamed buns, a plate of shiny red apples, and rosy pink peaches giving off an enchanting aroma. Drool dripped from his mouth, forming a small puddle on the ground. Seeing so much delicious food, Shu Hei was too excited to speak. Where did all this offering come from? Without hesitation, Shu Hei lunged onto the table, devouring the food voraciously. As he ate, he mumbled, I'm sure the mountain god wouldn't want this food to go to waste. I'll help him eat these offerings first. Then, I can pray more sincerely. After stuffing himself, Shu Hei let out a satisfied burp. The prayer and the unwelcome guests. In front of him were 4 empty plates, now completely devoid of food. Shu Hei once again coiled his tail around the dry branch, using it as makeshift incense, and continued his prayer. Mountain God, please protect me from my inner demons. Help me cultivate successfully. Grant me the strength to grow more powerful. Allow me to live a good life. Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed, along with sinister laughter. Ha ha ha. Shuhei turned his head to look. Two shadows stretched across the ground. A young woman's desperate scream rang out. Help me, immediately followed by a harsh shout. Little girl, where do you think you're running to? Shuhei clicked his tongue in annoyance. Bad luck. Why are people coming here now? Outside, Kuthu instructed his servants. You all wait outside. I'll be enjoying myself for a while. The servants all replied in unison. Yes, young Master Ku, hiding behind the mountain god's statue. Shuhei mumbled. What an idiot. Walking straight into a dead end without even knowing it. He concealed himself behind the statue, using his spiritual sense to see through the statue. Observing the shrine's entrance, he realized, escaping without being noticed, that's simply impossible. Through his spiritual sense, Shuhei carefully observed the scene outside. He sneered. HMPH. Fine, let's see what you all are up to. The harassment. Kuthu's voice rang out again. Girl, any woman that catches Kuthu's eye must obey me. I suggest you submit willingly, or I'll make your life worse than death. The young girl held a small knife, trembling as she threatened him with a shaky voice. Don't come any closer. Her hand trembled as she raised the knife to her neck. Tears welled up in her eyes as she cried. Even if I can't kill you, I can still end my own life. You'll get nothing from me. Shuhei, who was eavesdropping, murmured to himself. Wait, Kuthu? The scene from the pigsty that night flashed through his mind. He muttered. Kuthu, no way. Shuhei looked at the man with a fat, greasy face, his tongue licking his lips lustfully. The man's hands gripped the girl's wrists tightly, causing her to drop the knife. Shuhei pondered. That's the guy who threw Tran Pham into the pigsty. He was able to beat Tran Pham. He must be a powerful expert. Absolutely cannot be discovered. Kuthu grabbed the girl's wrist with one hand, while his other hand covered her mouth. The girl's clothes were disheveled, her eyes filled with hopelessness. Watching the scene, Shuhei couldn't help but feel puzzled. Wait, is he in heat? Humans are strange. It seems like they're always in heat. Not like us demonic beasts, who only have mating seasons in spring. He saw Kuthu shove the girl to the ground, making her clothes even more disheveled. The girl cried and begged for help. Seeing her pitiful state, Shuhei clicked his tongue. What's so attractive about that weak body? I really don't understand. If she were thrown into the mountains, she'd be devoured by wild beasts within minutes. The cruel taunt. Kuthu stood up and picked up the knife from the ground. He looked down at the girl lying helplessly on the ground. A mocking smile spread across his face. The threat and the chaos. You dare to threaten me with suicide? What arrogance. You don't know your place. Today, I'll rape you first, then kill you. Shuhei, who had been eavesdropping, chuckled. This Kuthu guy is strong, but he's clearly not very smart. The young woman lay on the ground, holding her clothes tightly. Tears streamed down her face as she shouted. Ku Kwang, you forced me to break the engagement. You even killed my beloved Tran Pham. And now, you want to humiliate me? Even if I become a ghost, I won't forgive you. Shuhei twisted his body, coiling around the mountain god's statue. His tail wrapped around an apple, which he carefully brought to his mouth and bit into. He continued munching while watching the scene outside. Well, if she dies, she can't be eaten anymore. Whatever. Mountain god bless them. Let them finish their business and leave. Then I can continue. Shuhei was so focused on watching the drama unfold, he didn't notice that his head accidentally bumped against the statue's wrist. The hand holding the gourd of the mountain god's statue fell off. Shuhei's expression changed instantly. Damn it. Ku Kwang and the young woman both froze, their eyes fixed on the broken hand lying on the ground. Ku Kwang's eyes narrowed, his expression growing tense. He muttered cautiously, "Someone's here." The girl's eyes widened, a glimmer of hope appearing as she whispered, "Mountain God." She quickly composed herself and rushed towards the statue, shouting, Mountain God, great Lord, please show your power." Ku Kwang, now furious, raised his knife toward the statue and shouted, "Who's there? Who's hiding behind the statue?" The young woman fell to her knees before the statue, clasping her hands in prayer. Blessings of the mountain spirit. Grace upon the mortal realm. Great mountain God, please save me. The sudden appearance Suddenly, Shu Hei emerged from behind the statue. Just as the apple core he had been eating dropped to the ground. His mind screamed, "Oh no, I'm doomed." Seeing Shu Hei, the young woman was horrified. Tears and snot streamed down her face as she shrieked, "Mother, a demon!" Hearing her scream, Ku Kwang was confused. "Huh? Where's the demon?" The girl turned around, and in her panic, accidentally impaled herself on the knife Ku Kwang was holding. She let out a weak gasp before falling silent. Ku Kwang stood there, paralyzed, his eyes widening in terror. He quickly released the knife. His face twisted in fear as he screamed, "No!" He stared at the girl's lifeless body on the ground. His face turned pale, sweat pouring down his brow. Ah! His screams echoed throughout the shrine. Panic among the servants. Hearing the commotion, Ku Kwang's followers rushed inside. The leader, holding a spear, asked with a trembling voice, "Young master, what happened?" Seeing Ku Kwang sitting there, and the young woman lying next to him, one of the servants cautiously asked, "Young Master Ku, did you finish already?" Ku Kwang stood up and yelled, "Are you an idiot? There's a little demon causing trouble in this shrine." All of Ku Kwang's men gripped their weapons tightly, scanning the area with wary eyes. Ku Kwang roared, "Come out, you little demon! Where are you hiding? Lurking behind the statue, playing tricks, ruining my fun. Hurry up and crawl out here, you bastard!" His voice continued to echo. "I am an outer disciple of the snake sect. The battle begins. Running into me? Bad luck for you." Hearing those words, Shu Hei broke out in a cold sweat, stammering, "Snake sect." Seeing no response from the shrine, Ku Kwang barked orders to his followers. No response. "Huh? You too. Go inside and drag him out for me." Two of his lackeys, holding wooden sticks, stepped into the shrine, answering quickly, "Yes, young master." Ku Kwang shouted from outside, "He's near the statue. Search everywhere and pull him out." The bearded lackey, with a straw hat, yelled, "Get out here." Inside, Shu Hei trembled, drenched in cold sweat. "They want to kill me. This can't happen. Instead of waiting to die, I have to take the initiative. Better to gamble on a single attack than to hide and be slaughtered." The ambush. Shu Hei opened his mouth wide, revealing his sharp fangs. The bearded lackey, who was standing nearby, recoiled in horror, shouting, "Damn it, it's a snake demon." From a distance, Ku Kwang laughed coldly. "HMPH, just a snake demon not even 7 feet long. What's there to be afraid of?" Hearing Ku Kwang's words, one of the lackeys holding a stick muttered to himself nervously, "Nothing to fear, nothing to fear." Seeing his men hesitating, Ku Kwang gave them a false sense of courage. "Wait for me to gather my energy. One strike will kill it. I'll present its head as a gift. And I'll be able to officially join the snake sect." He raised his hand, concentrating his energy, and ordered his lackeys, "Go catch it." The special technique of the snake sect, known as Void Strike, required a moment of concentration. The two lackeys responded in unison, "Yes, young master." They charged toward Shu Hei with their sticks raised high. Ku Kwang reminded them, "Hit its 7-inch point. Whoever kills it will be heavily rewarded." The counterattack. Seeing the lackeys charging, Shu Hei thought to himself, "The most dangerous one is definitely Ku Thu." He quickly assessed the situation. "I need to take them all out before Ku Thu finishes gathering energy." With his mind made up, Shu Hei moved swiftly. He wrapped his tail around the two lackeys, capturing them before they could even react. In that moment of desperation, one of the lackeys reached out a trembling hand towards Ku Kwang, and weakly called out, "Why, young master?" But Ku Kwang, who was still concentrating his energy, saw this and his face turned pale. His whole body trembled, unable to utter a single word. He stared at the snake's ferocious expression, as it coiled around his men with terrifying strength. In the blink of an eye, his lackeys were already dead. What kind of monster is this? Ku Kwang's entire body was drenched in sweat. Without hesitation, he turned and fled, screaming as he ran, "Just you wait, the snake sect will never forgive you." The chase. Seeing Ku Kwang flee, Shu Hei was stunned. "Wait, he's really running away? He's fleeing like a dog but still shouting threats. I'll have my master turn you into a pill." Hearing this, Shu Hei understood. Of course, it couldn't be that easy. "No, I can't let him escape." Watching Ku Kwang retreating, Shu Hei made a decision. "I'll smash your brain to pieces." The aftermath and the offering. Shu Hei swung his tail, striking Ku Kwang's head. Blood sprayed from his mouth, and his face twisted in agony. The shrine returned to its usual eerie silence. Except now, a lifeless body lay at the bottom of the stairs, dragging Ku Kwang's corpse into the shrine. Shu Hei let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, that fool decided to run away instead of finishing his energy gathering. I really dodged a bullet this time. I guess I have a lot of luck. He looked up at the mountain god's statue, sweating profusely. This time, I was in danger. Maybe it's because I stole the mountain god's offerings? No way. Did the mountain god get angry at me? Shu Hei hurriedly gathered the bodies of Ku Kwang and his men, piling them in front of the mountain god's statue. As he worked, he muttered softly, I have to offer these people as sacrifices to the mountain god. Maybe then he won't be angry. Wrapping his tail around some branches, he bowed his head and prayed. Great mountain god, please do not blame me. I offer these people as sacrifices to you. Please, accept them. He looked at the corpses scattered around the shrine's altar, lying beneath the mountain god's statue. Now, hopefully, the mountain god won't be angry anymore. The mountain god's revelation. Suddenly, the statue of the mountain god began to glow. A 7-colored rainbow light shone brilliantly, illuminating the entire shrine. At the base of the statue, 5 colored clouds swirled gently. A distant, booming voice echoed through the shrine. Shu Hei, the heavens have bestowed upon you a great responsibility. You must first endure hardship and trials. You must face hunger, exhaustion, and scarcity. Only then can you truly become a mighty demonic serpent of the demon realm. Hearing this, Shu Hei felt a great awakening. Perhaps, the mountain god was trying to remind me. I need to focus on my cultivation. If I don't, I'll always be running away. He quickly lowered his head and kowtowed. I understand now. Thank you, great mountain god. A new resolution. Shu Hei decided to return to the deep mountains to cultivate. Turning away from the shrine, he called out, Don't worry, mountain god. I will go into the mountains and cultivate diligently. Before leaving, he dragged the bodies of Ku Kwang and his men with his tail, taking them with him. Behind him, it seemed as if the mountain god's statue was smiling. A week later, in the cave. Inside a dark cave, a bright light shone, illuminating the surroundings. Shu Hei looked at the demonic god's cauldron within him, which was only half filled. He sighed. Hey, it's been a whole week of cultivating, and I'm still missing a bit before reaching the second level of the spiritual awareness stage. He looked around at the scattered animal bones within the cave, and his voice was filled with frustration. Eating small creatures every day not only doesn't fill me, but it also doesn't provide much help for my cultivation. If only I could find another wild boar. The failed traps. Shu Hei tried to mimic humans, creating a simple bird trap with a woven basket and some branches tied with string. But the birds simply hovered around, refusing to enter the basket. He sighed in disappointment. Why isn't anything falling into the trap? Now, Shu Hei had camouflaged himself in a watermelon field, his head covered with a ring of grass, his tail coiled around the string tied to the bird trap. Annoyed, he muttered, They say if you wait by a tree, a rabbit will come. Waiting for a boar should be the same, right? But it's been several days already, and not a single wild boar has shown up. He poked at his flattened belly with his tail, grumbling softly. These past few days, I haven't caught a single large prey. The struggle for food, don't even mention cultivation. Just finding enough to eat is already so difficult. Shu Hei stared at the ripe watermelon in front of him, drooling. Pigs eat watermelons. I eat pigs. Or, maybe I should just try eating the watermelon? Suddenly, a familiar voice called out. This year, the river's water rose higher, so father caught a lot of fish. From above, Shu Hei looked down and saw 2 figures moving below. He muttered to himself, Huh? The 2 people were heading toward their house. Shu Hei squinted, trying to get a clearer look. Oh, it's that boy with the trident. But who's the man next to him? So, this watermelon field belongs to his family? The strange offering. Little Niu wiped the sweat from his forehead. He suddenly felt like someone was watching him. He turned around and looked toward the trees with surprise. Softly, he asked, Over there. From his high perch, Shu Hei felt a sense of guilt. Did he see me? Quickly, he lowered his head, trying to hide, but little Niu suddenly shouted. All right. Then he grabbed a basket full of fish and ran off. His father, puzzled, asked, You brat, where are you going? Seeing little Niu run off without looking back, the old man grumbled. What's that boy running off to do over there? Meanwhile, Shuhei climbed up a tree quickly, mumbling to himself, I need to hide. The gift of fish. Little Niu placed the basket full of fish beneath the tree and said, I'll leave it here. From his spot on the tree, Shuhei looked down in confusion. What on earth is this kid trying to do? After dropping the basket, Little Niu turned around and ran off. Surprised, Shuhei continued to observe. Huh? He just left it there and ran away? Running a bit further, Little Niu turned around to look at the tree and shouted, Old black snake, this fish is my thanks to you. Go ahead and eat them. Shuhei slowly slithered down from the tree, sniffing the air around the basket. These are fish? The scent was so delicious. It made his mouth water. Did he leave these for me? The fish were still fresh, their eyes clear and bright. Shuhei hesitated. Could this be a trap? Maybe they're trying to poison me? I need to be careful. He tried to convince himself. But these fish are still alive. I'll just look at them. I won't eat them. The temptation. Unable to resist the enticing aroma, Shuhei pretended to be nonchalant and took a small bite. Before he knew it, a whole fish slid down his throat. The satisfaction was overwhelming. Delicious. But it wasn't enough. Shuhei pushed his head completely into the basket, telling himself it was just a taste. Alright, just one more bite. But soon, it was another one. He devoured the fish one by one, moaning with satisfaction. Oh my god, so good. The departure of Little Niu. Little Niu saw Shuhei eating eagerly, smiled, and turned to leave. He giggled. So old black snake likes fish. Huh? But just as he was leaving, a foot suddenly appeared in front of him. A loud voice called out, Hey, kid. Little Niu looked up at the man standing before him and asked, Huh? Who are you? The man was Ding Hai, dressed entirely in black, his face concealed by a cloth-covered hat. The encounter with Ding Hai and Zhao Wenzhou. The man's face was covered with a cloth, leaving only his eyes visible. He asked, I want to ask you something. Lately, have you seen the old black snake? Little Niu looked up to see the man more clearly, marveling at how tall he was. He noticed a finely crafted nameplate hanging from the man's waist. Ding Hai continued, Have you seen it or not? Seeing that Little Niu didn't respond, he snapped, What's with the stammering? Little Niu stuttered, I have never seen any old black snake before. Next to Ding Hai, there was another man dressed similarly. This man's name was Zhao Wenzhou. At that moment, Zhao Wenzhou was searching through the nearby grass. Little Niu understood now. They're from the snake sect, here to catch the old black snake. Zhao Wenzhou cautioned, Senior brother Dane, this kid doesn't know anything. Asking him is just a waste of time. Ding Hai clicked his tongue in disdain. Useless. Suddenly, a bird chirped loudly, breaking the tense silence. The sound startled the nearby birds, causing them to scatter in all directions. Seeing this, Zhao Wenzhou looked up in surprise and asked, What's causing that commotion over there? Ding Hai immediately ordered, Let's go check it out. As they moved, they discussed, Could the black snake be hiding over there? Senior brother Ding? Little Niu's concern. Watching the two men leave, Little Niu grew worried. In his heart, he prayed, Old black snake, you better run away quickly. Don't let them catch you. Suddenly, a voice rang out. It's eating people again. The old black snake ate someone in the river. The two men looked toward the source of the voice. Zhao Wenzhou whispered, Senior brother Dane, the old black snake is in the river. The two of them quickly dashed off. Don't let it escape, shouted Ding Hai. Yes, Senior brother Dane, responded Zhao Wenzhou. Little Niu, still nearby, muttered in confusion, But the old black snake was just here, eating fish. How could it be eating people in the river at the same time? The angry Shuhei. At that moment, Shuhei was looking at some broken eggs on the ground, feeling furious. Stupid birds. I only broke a few eggs, and they pecked my head. 2 small bumps had formed on his head. Slithering away, tears almost welling up, he grumbled, I almost got caught by those snake sect people. When did I ever eat people in the river? Besides, why did that boy try to cover for me and say he hadn't seen me? Shuhei climbed to a higher ground, but his movements were too forceful, causing rocks to tumble down. He sighed. Forget it. The human world is too complicated. I can't understand it. What's most important right now is that the snake sect people are targeting me. If I want to stay alive, I can't keep hanging around here. Crossing the river, Shuhei looked ahead, then leapt into the river and began to swim to the other side. I'll hide there for a while. It'll be safer. As he swam, he sighed again. There are only 3 months left until winter. Too bad I haven't stored any food yet. At this rate, it'll be difficult to make progress in my cultivation. The unexpected encounter. As he reached the middle of the river, Shuhei saw something huge coming towards him. It was a large head, swimming straight in his direction. The battle with the eel demon. Shuhei was shocked. Hey, what is that? A gaping mouth, lined with countless sharp, needle-like teeth. Compared to the massive creature, Shuhei was tiny. He muttered a curse under his breath. Damn! Shuhei twisted his body, dodging the creature's bite. Still in shock, he asked himself, why is there a demon in this river? Diving deeper into the water, he carefully observed his opponent. So, it's an eel? It swam here from upstream. But, it really looks like a serpent. Could it be? This eel is the one that's been eating people in the river. And now I'm being blamed for it? Looking around the river, he noticed half-eaten fish heads floating here and there. He also saw the eel's body, covered in various wounds, large and small. Shuhei couldn't help but be amazed. It must have fought against the snake sect. But, why would it still want to attack a passerby like me? The eel swam towards him, grinning wickedly, its mouth still holding a fish skeleton. Shuhei became more alert. Wait, is it trying to escape? Does it want to eat me to restore its energy? He narrowed his eyes, a sinister grin forming on his face. So, if that's the case, then maybe I can treat it as food. For my winter stash. The decision to flee. But then, Shuhei quickly swam away, his mind racing with calculations. Wait, it managed to escape from the snake sect's hunters. That means, it must be strong. Trying to catch it for food, that's too dangerous. Keeping my life intact is more important. Running away is the safest choice. Leaving the eel behind, which was still opening its mouth wide, preparing to attack, the eel felt insulted. Seeing Shuhei's retreat, it let out an angry roar and lunged forward. The chase. Shuhei was surprised. Damn, it's actually coming after me? It's dead set on eating me. He swam toward a large rock, and as the eel closed in, Shuhei suddenly swerved. The eel's head smashed into the rock, causing it to tremble. Shuhei grumbled in frustration. Why is it so persistent? Feeling his strength waning, he thought, no, I'm running out of breath. If I put all my energy into attacking its softer belly, maybe I can escape. The desperate strike. Shuhei gathered all his strength, whipping his tail towards the eel's belly. He lunged forward, biting into the creature's flesh. If that's the case, then I'll fight you to the death. But before he could swallow, he immediately spat out the flesh. A look of disgust crossed his face. This eel's meat is slimy. And it has a weird smell. The burning illusion. Suddenly, Shuhei felt a scorching heat all around him. Looking at the spot where he had spat out the meat, he saw flames igniting. Shuhei was stunned. What? Something's wrong. It's so hot. How can there be fire? His gaze sharpened, watching the flames burning underwater. He thought, the entire area around me is turning to fire. But, this is a river. How is this even possible? He stared at the eel's wide-open mouth in front of him, and asked himself, illusion technique? Is the slime from this eel demon capable of causing hallucinations? What should I do? Maybe, the burning sensation I feel is just a conditioned reflex? Breaking the illusion, Shuhei scratched his head, searching through his memory. Wait, I remember something. In the cultivation method of Tran Pham, he once mentioned, the first step when facing an illusion is to remain calm. Gather all your spiritual energy into a single point of consciousness. Shuhei looked at the sea of flames surrounding him, then glanced at the sharp fangs right in front of him. Muttering to himself, he repeated, heaven and earth are the chessboard. All living beings are the chess pieces. Gather all the power of my mind. He shouted aloud. Destroy, shatter the illusion. At that moment, an image of a golden dragon appeared, coiling and twisting as it opened its mouth wide. Following Shuhei's movements, the illusion of the burning sea shattered. His face emerged from the fragments of the broken illusion. Shuhei laughed joyfully. I did it. I broke the illusion. A surprising victory. As Shuhei was rushing forward, he suddenly yelped in surprise. Right before him was the gaping mouth of the eel, still open wide. Startled, Shuhei cried out, not good. He shut his eyes, raising his tail to shield himself. Thinking, I'm done for. There's no way to escape. As he struggled, his tail suddenly swiped across the corner of the eel's mouth. The golden scale on his tail gleamed in the water, slicing along the corner of the eel's mouth. It left a deep, clean cut, the wound stretching long and wide. Shuhei watched, stunned, as the eel's body was split open, red blood spreading through the water. He stammered, What just happened? Looking down, he stared at the gleaming golden scale on his tail. Then marveled, my tail? Sliced the eel in two? Huh, so, my tail is actually this powerful? The aftermath. Shuhei swam back and forth in the water, examining the scattered remains of the eel demon. His golden scale was indeed incredibly sharp. If I can refine it in the future, won't I be invincible? But then he thought carefully. No, I can't be careless. This victory was mostly due to luck. The eel was already severely injured. If it hadn't been, my scale wouldn't have sliced it so easily. It's better to collect all the pieces and hide deep in the mountains. That'll be much safer. Gathering the spoils. On the ground, chunks of the eel's flesh were tied tightly together. Shuhei let out a long sigh of relief. Looking up at the neatly stacked pile of meat, he carefully calculated, with this much demon beast meat, I should have enough to sustain myself and cultivate for several months in the mountains. He glanced at the bright red demon core nearby and wagged his tail happily. Another demon core. If I can absorb it, I might even break through to the third level of the spiritual awareness stage. That would be amazing. The discovery. Suddenly, Shuhei noticed something shaped like a rectangle, lying within the eel's belly. Curious, he moved closer to examine it. Huh? What's this? Looking closely, he exclaimed, a snake sect token. So, this eel must have eaten someone from the snake sect. Shuhei looked at the pile of meat in front of him, then bowed his head respectfully. Brother eel, even though you were trying to eliminate a menace for the snakes, you also tried to eat me. I guess this is just the law of nature. But, brother eel, don't worry. He glanced at the bright red demon core once more. I will make sure to use your remains properly. You won't have died in vain. The escape and the plot. After finishing his speech, Shuhei grabbed the demon core tightly with his tail, along with brother eel's core. I'll eat them both. He opened his mouth wide, trying to swallow the core. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get it down. Frustrated, Shuhei grumbled, damn it, it's too hard to swallow. Realizing he couldn't consume the core so quickly, he decided to tie the pile of eel meat to his tail. With the demon core in his mouth, he moved quickly. Whatever. The snake hunters are probably closing in by now. I need to get away fast. Once I'm safely in the mountains, I can refine the demon core without rushing. Discovery of the eel's remains. The scene shifts elsewhere. A hand reached out, picking up a scale stuck to the eel demon's mouth. Ding Hai examined the scale and said, so that's how it is. Now it makes sense why it could move so quickly underwater. He crouched down, inspecting the eel's corpse, coming to a conclusion. That demon that ate people was a water demon, not the old black snake. But the demon that fought the water demon was the old black snake. Zhao Wenzhou heard this and asked, the black snake is cunning. Should we keep chasing it? Ding Hai stood up, staring at the river in front of him. He spoke in a deep voice. The mountain ahead is Iron Bear Mountain. There's a bear demon in that mountain, at the peak of the third level of spiritual awareness. Its strength is nothing to be underestimated. The mountains are vast and deep. We could search for months and never find the old black snake. And we might even encounter the bear demon. Zhao Wenzhou responded. Senior brother, have you heard about this? A few days ago, the old black snake swallowed an alchemist from the Heavenly Insight Pavilion, and a human core that the alchemist had nurtured for years. Ding Hai turned to him. What do you mean by that? Zhao Wenzhou removed his hat, revealing a mysterious smile. The effects of the human core must still be inside the old black snake's body. Senior brother, you've been stuck at the third level for many years now, waiting for a rare opportunity like this. Why not take the risk? Ding Hai glanced at him with approval. You're a clever one, aren't you? But entering the mountains is too dangerous. We might end up losing more than we gain. The plan for winter. Zhao Wenzhou pointed toward the forest, covered in golden leaves of autumn. Senior brother, there's no need to worry. A few months from now, this place will be covered in snow. By then, the bear demon will have gone into hibernation. When we enter the mountains, We're sure to harvest something valuable. Ding Hai nodded in agreement. You have a point. Very well. We'll wait until the first snowfall. Shu Hei's hideout. Inside a cave, Shu Hei hung the eel meat on the cave walls. Once everything was prepared, he curled up on top of a pile of bones, laughing gleefully. Heh, this cave isn't bad at all. It's warm and cozy. I'll just stay here for a few months. This will be the day the old black snake offers up his cultivation to us both. 2 months later, the arrival of winter. Outside, the snow fell heavily, forming a thin white blanket over everything. Shu Hei let out a sigh. Hey, breaking through from the second level of spiritual awareness to the third is way harder than going from the first level to the second. Shu Hei's progress. Shu Hei twisted his body and looked down at his tail. I've already refined the demon core, the flesh I harvested before, and the cultivation I've done during this time. And yet, I still haven't broken through. But at least there's some progress. He noticed that 3 more golden scales had grown on his tail. Looking at the demon god cauldron within his body, he marveled. The mist of spiritual energy inside the cauldron is now full. At the very least, I've reached the peak of the second level. I'm probably just a little bit away from breaking through to the third level. Preparing for winter, Shu Hei crawled out of the cave, slithering through the snow. With a rope in his mouth, he dragged the large piece of eel meat, the last remaining chunk. He muttered regretfully. It's a shame that winter is coming. My body is starting to become stiff. And I'm almost out of food. The coming days will likely be spent hibernating. I'll have to wait until spring to go out and find food and continue cultivating. The snake sect's search. In the thick, white snow, footsteps crunched loudly as Ding Hai walked forward. He looked down at the search party combing through the snow below. Raising his voice, he called out, Everyone, spread out and search the mountain. Once this task is completed, each of you will be rewarded with 1 tael of silver. Be thorough and search carefully. The villagers' effort. Below him, the villagers were busy working. Some were using sticks to dig through the snow, while others had brought hunting dogs to sniff out the surroundings. Little Niu's father looked up and shouted, Sir Cultivator, please rest assured, we people from Snake Village might not be good at much. But when it comes to finding snakes, we're the best. These 2 hunting dogs, they've been trained well. The moment they catch a snake's scent, they'll never let go. Before he could finish his sentence, Ding Hai interrupted him. That's enough. Stop wasting time. Hurry up and find it. Little Niu's father quickly responded. Yes, Sir Cultivator. Da Huang, Huang, hurry and find the snake's lair. The villagers' conversation. As Ding Hai and Zhao Wenzhou walked away, the man standing next to Little Niu's father muttered angrily. Those snake sect people sure are arrogant. Little Niu's father tried to calm him down. Brother Li, don't say such reckless things. They have real skills. Unlike us, we're only allowed to tag along because they're letting us share in the reward. He smiled, his face flushed. It was hard to tell if it was due to happiness or the cold wind. You don't understand. My boy, Little Niu, loves to study. Once, he found a tattered book that someone threw away as trash. But to him, it was like a treasure. This time, with the reward money, I'm going to send him to Mr. Suo to study. I'm sure he'll be overjoyed. Ha ha ha. The discovery. Suddenly, the sound of dogs barking shattered the peaceful air. Woof, 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 woof. The villagers quickly gathered, watching as the dogs ran around a patch of ground, barking loudly. Someone remarked, They've already found something? That fast? The villagers quickly went to call the 2 snake sect members. Little Niu's father pointed to a spot and said, Sir Cultivator, look at this hole. It must be the lair of the old black snake. Ding Hai raised his hand, gesturing for everyone to step back. Stand aside, let me inspect it. Shu Hei's hidden den. At this moment, Shu Hei was hiding in his underground cave. Hearing the commotion outside, his entire body began to sweat. Damn it, the snake sect has brought people into the mountain? Those dogs, their sense of smell is that good? Did they really find me? My body is still frozen stiff from the cold. I'm at my weakest right now. I can't even run away, let alone fight them off. On the surface, Ding Hai bent down and picked up a piece of dung. Examining it, Little Niu's father spoke softly. Sir Cultivator, look, this here is old black snake's dung. Looks like we're finally getting our reward. Suddenly, Ding Hai shouted, causing everyone to jump in surprise. You idiot, that's bear dung. Do your dogs even know how to track properly? Little Niu's father was stunned. Ah, that's impossible. My dogs have never made a mistake before. Ding Hai snapped. Who knows better, you or me? He then pointed toward a large cave nearby. Over there, I just noticed a big cave over there. Let all the villagers over there and search it. The crowd could only comply. Yes, sir, cultivator. Shu Hei's relief. Meanwhile, Shu Hei wiped his sweat off with his tail. Thinking about the cave he had disguised with rocks, branches, and bear dung, he let out a sigh of relief. Phew, almost scared me to death. Good thing I was smart and careful. Before, I blocked the entrance with rocks, covered it with branches, and even sprinkled bear dung on top. He continued analyzing his situation. Plus, I dug a hole 6 jong deep. There's no way they can tell the difference. Even if I'm just scaring myself, I should still gather my energy to restore my strength. Just to be safe. The villagers' discontent. On the surface, the villagers from Snake Village were gathered around. They were grumbling and discussing. This place doesn't look like a snake's den at all. The snake sect people are so impatient. Whatever, let's just follow their orders. The villagers continued heading towards the large cave. The snake sect's plan. Nearby, Zhao Wenzhou leaned toward Ding Hai, speaking in a low voice. Senior brother Ding, although it's hidden quite deeply, it's clearly a snake's den, isn't it? Ding Hai smiled. Of course, but our goal has been achieved. Those stupid villagers are now useless. Fewer people means less reward money to pay. Zhao Wenzhou finally understood. So, senior brother, you sent them to the bear's den? Ding Hai replied calmly. Now that you understand, you know what to do next, don't you? The villagers' ignorance. At the entrance of the large cave, the villagers whispered among themselves. I heard the old black snake is several dozen jong long. Another one observed. This cave is massive. The trap is set. Zhao Wenzhou held a talisman in his hand and threw it down toward the cave below. Don't worry, senior brother. I will lure the bear demon out. First, we'll use the villagers as bait. Then, we'll team up to deal with the bear demon. Finally, we'll capture the black snake, whose body must be frozen and sluggish by now. Shu Hei's horror. Shu Hei, curled up deep underground, felt a chill run down his spine when he heard their conversation. They want to kill those villagers? Normal animals wouldn't do such a thing. What kind of monsters are these people? Shu Hei's realization. Humans are so treacherous. Their hearts are truly terrifying. Seeing that Ding Hai still hadn't left, Shu Hei forced himself to focus on the main issue. No, this isn't something I should be worrying about. The important thing is, they know I'm here, and that means I'm in great danger. Shu Hei began to imagine himself fighting against the bear demon. He pictured wrapping himself around the bear's body and biting into its neck. But then, he started weighing the pros and cons. They just said they want to deal with the bear demon first, and then kill me afterward. If I can take advantage of their battle with the bear and devour the bear demon, I might be able to break through to the 3rd level of spiritual awareness. Then, I'll be ready to face the snake hunters in a great battle. A sudden reality check. Suddenly, Shu Hei slammed his head against the ground repeatedly, trying to snap himself out of it. He groaned helplessly. Oh my god, what kind of nonsense am I thinking about at such a dangerous time? They said they have to join forces to defeat the bear demon, and then kill me afterward. That clearly means the bear demon is much stronger than me. Besides, how could I possibly devour the bear demon right in front of them? Wouldn't that be suicide? The betrayal plot. Ding Hai, seeing Zhao Wenzhou hadn't left yet, sneered. Foolish junior brother. It's a pity. These 2 demon beasts will only be enough for one of us to break through. If not, I would have spared your life. After I defeat the bear demon. Shu Hei heard his words and was shocked. Wait a minute. It sounds like the 2 of them are about to turn on each other. Maybe there's still a chance for me to turn things around. He cautiously crawled toward the entrance of the cave, moving slowly and carefully. I'll wait quietly and observe, waiting for the right moment to act. Zhao Wenzhou sets the trap. On the other side, Zhao Wenzhou returned and reported. Senior brother, the setup is complete. Ha ha. In less than half an incense stick's time, the bear demon will wake up. The bear demon awakens. Moments later, a terrified scream echoed from the other cave. Someone shouted, "Run, this is a bear's den." A gigantic black bear emerged from the stone cave, its eyes red with rage, as it swung its sharp claws violently. sending the villagers tumbling to the ground. One of the villagers shouted, "A bear's den? Didn't the cultivators say this was a snake's den?" Little Niu's father, while running away, yelled, "Run! Find the cultivators quickly!" Another man pointed toward the high ground, where Ding Hai and Zhao Wenzhou stood. "The cultivators are here. The two cultivators are here. Please for help." Little Niu's father looked back and begged desperately, "Sir cultivators, you arrived just in time. Please save us." But Ding Hai, looking down from the high ground, gazed at them with contempt. He scoffed, "Pathetic wretches, you've made such a commotion, and you still have the face to beg for help? Just die here." The villagers' fury. Old Li, furious, drew an arrow from his back. He shouted angrily, "Damn it, they set us up on purpose. They deliberately lured us to the bear's den." Little Niu's father, equally enraged, yelled, "They're trying to kill us to avoid paying the reward. Those bastards." Old Li notched the arrow onto his bow. His face twisted with rage. The betrayal unfolds. Old Li aimed his arrow toward the snake sect members. "If you want us dead, then don't expect to survive either." He released the arrow, and it flew with a sharp whoosh. Zhao Wenzhou instinctively stepped back, but the arrow only hit his satchel, tearing a part of it. Out spilled pills, talismans, small bells, jade pendants, scattering everywhere on the snow. Xu Hei's discovery. From his hiding place underground, Xu Hei peeked up, revealing only his eyes. He saw all sorts of items, pills, talismans, small bells, and jade pendants strewn about. He sniffed the air. "This smell, it's human pills. I think it's called a restoration pill." A golden pill rolled near the mouth of the cave. As quick as lightning, Xu Hei used his tail to hook the pill and drag it down into the cave, using his tail to grip the golden pill. He took a deep sniff and salivated. "What a miraculous pill. Just smelling it makes me feel rejuvenated." Panic and greed. "Senior brother Ding," Zhao Wenzhou called out. "The items from my storage pouch have scattered everywhere. Hurry, help me gather them before the bear demon arrives." Seeing the bear demon slaughtering the villagers and slowly approaching, Ding Hai grumbled, "Why were you so careless?" He crouched down to pick up the items. But his thoughts were different. "HMPH, useless fool. Whatever you pick up will end up being mine anyway." The bear demon attacks. Zhao Wenzhou looked at the bear demon, which was clamping a man in its jaws, while trampling another under its massive paws. He praised his senior brother. "Senior brother's scheme is truly brilliant. Those worthless villagers are almost all dead. Even that old man managed to last this long." "Ha ha." Ding Hai laughed arrogantly. "Ha, if they can sacrifice their lives for the snake sect, then they didn't live in vain." The betrayal. Suddenly, Zhao Wenzhou's tone changed. "Senior brother, it's your turn to join them," he chanted. "By the decree of law, the Gale Talisman, rise." Ding Hai looked up, startled. "What?" With a loud shout, Zhao Wenzhou raised a talisman. "Activate." Using Ding Hai as the focal point, the surrounding snowstorm intensified, and a powerful gust of wind hurled Ding Hai backward. He was flung through the air, crashing down right where the bear demon was standing. All around the bear demon, the bloodied bodies of villagers lay scattered across the snow. Ding Hai tumbled head over heels, before landing hard on the icy ground. Seeing the commotion, the bear demon rose to its full height, its blood-red eyes locking onto Ding Hai. Ding Hai clutched his arm. The impact had left one of his arms seriously injured. Furious, he glared up at Zhao Wenzhou, cursing loudly. "You bastard, Zhao Wenzhou, how dare you set me up? You'll never die a peaceful death." Zhao Wenzhou's true intentions. From above, Zhao Wenzhou mocked. "Getting angry will only cloud your mind. Senior brother." Using the wind manipulation technique, he floated in midair, arms crossed over his chest, coldly laughing. "Senior brother, you have no idea. Just to set up this little act, I had to put in so much effort. But didn't you also want to hog all the demon beasts for yourself? Did you really think I was such a fool? Now, everything belongs to me." The desperate struggle. Ding Hai, racked with pain, his face drenched in cold sweat, cursed internally. "Damn it." Zhao Wenzhou continued his taunting. "I don't care about the snake demon or the bear demon. All I need is you dead." He extended his hand forward, commanding the bear demon with its blood-red eyes to charge at Ding Hai. Zhao Wenzhou's mocking laughter echoed. "Ha ha ha." Ding Shishang. The resources you need for a breakthrough are right in front of you. If you're so capable, come and take them. Ding Hai, struggling on the ground, spat curses. You bastard. He held up a yellow talisman, shouting, by the decree of law. Exploding talisman. Activate. A loud explosion erupted. Smoke and flames engulfed the bear demon, forcing it to howl in pain. The ground trembled violently from the force of the blast. Zhao Wen-zhou's retreat. From his place in the air, Zhao Wen-zhou observed, a final act of madness before death. Huh? He laughed again. Ha ha ha. As expected of Ding Shishang. Well, I should return to the sect and report. The bear demon is now completely enraged. I wouldn't want to get caught up in the chaos. He turned to leave, leaving the bear demon roaring in the sea of flames. And Ding Hai, who had perished alongside his own exploding talisman. From a distance, Zhao Wen-zhou's voice echoed. What shall I say when I get back? Xu Hei's opportunity. Xu Hei cautiously poked his head out of the cave. Listening to the battle, he speculated. The snake hunter is dead? The bear demon is badly injured too? Oh, could this be the turning point I've been waiting for? Using his tail, he grabbed a pill and tossed it into his mouth. His body quickly began to recover and strengthen. Xu Hei slithered swiftly over the snow, baring his sharp fangs, his violet eyes gleaming with ferocity. Now, it's my turn. Just as he was about to depart, he noticed 2 more golden pills lying on the snow. His stomach rumbled unexpectedly. 2 more restoration pills? I wonder if eating 3 in a row might be too much to absorb? Not wanting to take any chances, Xu Hei used his tail to scoop up the 2 pills, then tucked them away in his mouth, hiding them behind his teeth. I'll keep these for when I really need them. The wolf pack's arrival. Suddenly, rustling sounds echoed from the distance. Xu Hei glanced over and saw a pack of wolves approaching. Their eyes gleamed with hunger, each one snarling viciously. They must have smelled the blood. Huh? He muttered. And I was just starting to feel hungry. I don't want to eat human corpses. He lunged forward, his jaws clamping down on the nearest wolf. The rest of the pack was still dazed. The attack had been too swift. Well then, I guess I'll just use you lot to fill my stomach. The wolves finally gathered their wits. But by then their companion lay dead on the ground, bloodied and motionless. Xu Hei flicked out his bright red tongue, licking the blood still clinging to his mouth. His eyes remained fixed on the rest of the pack. He grinned wickedly, as blood slowly dripped down to the snow. The hunger of the divine cauldron. Xu Hei murmured to himself. With the divine cauldron, I can quickly digest the food I devour. But, it still feels like it's not enough. He found himself feeling restless. 1 wolf. That's not enough. He crazily attacked the rest of the wolf pack, causing the surviving wolves to fight back fiercely. Pieces of the wolf carcasses lay scattered across the snowy ground. Xu Hei mumbled to himself. What's happening? Why am I so hungry? He coiled his body around a wolf, crushing it in his grip. The remaining wolves scattered in all directions. But somehow it still didn't feel like enough. He tossed and turned, his mind swirling with hunger. Why am I so insatiable? The temptation of the bear demon. Nearby, the bear demon was resting and licking its wounds. A lone wolf, for some reason, trembled and wandered toward it. Xu Hei watched the scene, whispering, could it be, because there's a delicious bear demon right in front of me? Mere wolves are not satisfying me? The bear demon suddenly snatched the wolf, crushing it before devouring it whole. Xu Hei watched in shock. What, even though it's seriously injured, it's still this strong? Based on its battle with the snake hunters, it must at least be at the peak of the 3rd layer. Meanwhile, I'm only at the peak of the 2nd layer. He rubbed his stomach with his tail, salivating but trying to remain calm. No, I can't be blinded by hunger. I have to be careful not to endanger myself. But I'm still so hungry. Is this the desire of the divine cauldron? Does it want me to devour the bear demon? The decision to fight. He watched the bear demon, nearly finished devouring the wolf. Xu Hei carefully weighed his options. Even though its cultivation level is higher than mine, it's still badly injured. If I keep running away, I'll never truly become stronger. Their eyes met. The bear demon began to move toward him. Xu Hei realized he could no longer stay on the defensive. The bear demon had just swatted away the wolves, likely using up the last of its strength. If I'm smart and cautious, I have a great chance of winning. With the snowstorm raging, both of them charged at each other, locked in a fierce battle. The fight against the bear demon The bear demon grabbed Shu Hei, lifting him toward its mouth. Its sharp, blood-stained fangs glistening, Shu Hei struggled desperately, his mind consumed by a single thought. To become stronger, I must risk everything. He bit down on the bear demon's eye, and followed up with a whip-like strike of his tail to its jaw. The bear demon roared in pain, its hands frantically rubbing its wounded eye. Arg! It hurled Shu Hei away, sending him crashing into the snow, leaving a long trail as he skidded across the ground. Shu Hei groaned. So much pain. This bear demon is at least 10 times stronger than that water demon I fought before. But then he smiled. Luckily, I blinded it. Now, it'll be much easier. Shu Hei prepared to strike again. But suddenly his body collapsed. The effect of the medicine has worn off. His body stiffened, unable to move properly. He quickly used his tongue to take out a pill hidden in his teeth and swallowed it. While swallowing, Hua Hei reminded himself, if I swallow one more pill, I'll surely feel warm again. Indeed, as energy flooded back into his body, he immediately bent his body, head lowering to the ground to build momentum. Hua Hei took off swiftly like the wind. Regarding these minor injuries, Hua Hei fiercely bit into the demon bear's neck, causing it immense pain. Its loud cries echoed throughout the forest. It's not too late to treat myself after killing it, he thought. The demon bear, already wounded in both eyes, was further hurt by Hua Hei's bite to its neck. Its massive body struggled violently, causing Hua Hei to spin uncontrollably. Hua Hei was astonished by the bear's fighting strength. Impossible, even blinded, it's still this strong. The demon bear waved its paws chaotically, suddenly grabbing Hua Hei's body tightly. It dug its sharp claws deeply into his flesh, making Hua Hei scream out in pain. It hurts so much. This blow is so powerful. My bones must have shattered. Hua Hei's eyes sharpened with resolve. I cannot loosen my bite until its neck is crushed. Deciding to use all his strength, Hua Hei fiercely bit down harder into the demon bear's neck, making it roar desperately in agony. Die. Just die already. Hua Hei had only one thought. Seriously injured, the demon bear violently threw Hua Hei far away, causing him to roll painfully over the snow. Thrown like a ball, Hua Hei groaned. Pain, pain, pain. Seeing the demon bear collapsing, Hua Hei muttered, I've severed its throat, it surely won't survive much longer. If I attack from afar with stones next, it probably won't help much. Thinking so, he coiled his tail around a wooden tree trunk. Let's use this instead. With all his might, Hua Hei slammed the sharp end of the tree trunk into the demon bear's head. Blood spraying everywhere, turning the surrounding snow red. Observing the fallen bear before him. It must be dead now, right? To guard against tricks, I'd better heal myself first and wait to see what happens. But before he could start healing, rustling sounds appeared again around him. Hua Hei raised his head, listening carefully. What's that sound? He saw the pack of wolves from earlier returning. Furious, he cursed, you damned cunning wolves. Watching the wolves lurking around, Hua Hei threatened, get lost. Thinking of coming back to pick up benefits? This place is mine. Don't even think about stealing my trophies. Seeing the wolves unafraid, blood still dripping from the wound on his head, Hua Hei reluctantly swallowed his last pill. As he swallowed, he thought desperately, no choice left. I'll eat my final recovery pill. Kill them all. 2 hours later, the sky remained clear. Snow continued covering the barren trees in thick layers. Looking at the scattered, mutilated corpses of wolves he'd killed, Hua Hei breathed heavily. As he slithered away, holding a piece of cloth in his mouth, he felt exhausted. It should be safe now. Hua Hei skillfully used his tail and mouth, turning the cloth into a long rope. Looking at the large corpse of the demon bear lying on the ground, already covered by a thin layer of snow, he started calculating. The restoration pill won't last long. I still have injuries. I must find a safe place to hide and refine it, to avoid being found again by the snake hunters. Hua Hei used his tail to drag the demon bear's corpse along. On the way, he saw corpses of villagers scattered across the snow-covered ground. He couldn't help but sigh deeply. Bodies were everywhere. I wonder how many cycles of reincarnation it takes to be reborn as a human. Yet they died just like this. Passing by a corpse, he suddenly paused, surprised. It was the body of little Niu's father lying on the ground. Da Huang and Huang lay nearby. Their bodies were also covered by a thick layer of snow, but upon closer inspection, there were no wounds. They seemed to have been lying here for quite a while. Seeing this, Hei tried to recall. This seems to be the father of that young boy. He's already dead. Why didn't you two run away? Hei spoke up to remind them. You'll freeze to death here. He used his tail to touch one of the dog's tails, and discovered that the body had already stiffened. He murmured softly, already frozen to death, looking at the two dogs so loyal to their owner. Hei felt uneasy inside. Their master is already dead, so why refuse to leave? He didn't understand why there was an odd feeling in his heart. Hei continued dragging the demon bear's corpse, that he had previously cut into smaller pieces. Along the way, he pondered deeply. In this battle, only the most frightening and cunning ones remain. I must survive, no matter what the future holds. In some cave, rocks were scattered everywhere, the humid air causing moss to grow abundantly. This cave had taken Hei a long time to find. His voice echoed slightly. There's a pond outside this cave, making it difficult for normal people to discover. It will surely be safer here. Hei tightly wrapped a chunk of bear meat with his tail and brought it to his mouth. Opening wide, he bit down forcefully, chewing while praising non-stop. While I can still move, I must quickly refine the demon bear's meat. This guy smells amazing and tastes delicious. No wonder the demon god cauldron always goes wild. Inside him, the demon god cauldron heated up. Hei carefully sensed it. The familiar feeling of absorption has returned. Hei shouted joyfully, excitedly waving his tail. Several golden scales appeared brightly on it. He looked at his tail and cried tears of joy. Third layer spirit awakening. I finally broke through to the third layer spirit awakening. Hei repeatedly stroked his own face with his tail. His cheeks flushed with happiness. He was ecstatic. Not only that, I've even reached the peak of the third layer spirit awakening. 10 golden scales have grown on my tail. Indeed, the bigger the waves, the more precious the fish. This fight was definitely worth it. Hei recalled the story, Journey to the West. He wished to become like Sun Wukong, wearing a golden circlet on his head, wielding the Ruyi staff with his tail, draped in a leopard skin cloak, standing at the peak of life. Yet strangely, in that mental image, a grasshopper appeared, standing on his head. Hei closed his eyes again, continuing his beautiful dream. Who knows, maybe next spring, he could also seize a mountain and become a king. 3 months later, winter faded and spring arrived. The mountains and forests shed their white snowy coats, replaced by lush greenery. The frozen stream melted, water trickling gently through the rocky crevices. Hei woke up from hibernation. He patted his face with his tail. Droplets falling from the cave ceiling made him considerably more alert. Yawning, Hei realized suddenly, is it already springtime? Things had truly changed. Previously, he had been an 8-foot-long Hei with 11 golden scales. Hei used his spiritual sense to peer outside the cave entrance. Contemplating the past months, not only had his body grown longer, but his spiritual sense could now reach further. Clearly observing scenes outside, he muttered, there are 2 wild boars nearby. I'll go have a good meal first to stretch my muscles. Hei swiftly attacked one of them. The boar let out a short squeal before falling silent. He glanced at the dead boar, blood pooling on the ground, then at the trembling other one. Noticing its large belly, Hei was startled. Oh, it's a female. She's pregnant. Can't eat her, so I'll settle for the other one. Thinking back, he realized that during the past few months, he had acquired powerful new knowledge, called ecological balance. Hei rolled the male boar away, leaving the female behind with a huge question mark above her head. She was probably wondering why the snake had spared her life. As Hei dragged the boar away, he pondered, I can no longer enter the village, so I need to figure out how to sustain myself. On this mountain, simply becoming a king isn't enough. Continuous hunting is necessary, but I shouldn't kill young animals. Hei found a comfortable spot to feast on the boar meat. While eating, he used surrounding stones to illustrate statistics of the forest animals. He counted, on this mountain, there were a total of 29 deer, 20 wild boars, 30 roe deer, several hundred rabbits, plus monkeys, sika deer, goats, wolves, over 100 in total. As long as I don't overeat and plan my diet carefully, food won't be an issue. Finishing the last bite of meat, he gazed at the river in front of him. It was now sunset, the sun slowly disappearing behind the mountain, casting a layer of dreamy twilight around. Hei reflected thoughtfully. But cultivation can't rely solely on these things. The previous incident taught me clearly. Cultivation always brings opportunities alongside dangers. Perhaps it's time to return home for a visit. Meanwhile, somewhere else, large and small snakes slithered chaotically everywhere, their bodies intertwining, crawling atop one another. This was the Valley of 10,000 Snakes. Exactly as the name suggested. It was home to tens of thousands of snakes, a territory belonging solely to serpents. At this moment, in the center of the cave stood a colorful tree. Its trunk curved strangely, making it appear very peculiar. The surrounding snakes stared intently at this tree. Hei's voice echoed softly. Spring has come, all living things flourish, and it's mating season again. Hei kept his upper body perfectly still. But his tail continued to sway back and forth. His head was covered in sweat. He didn't expect the sensation of the little white snake wrapping around his body. But Hei, I am a snake with firm resolve. Every time he returned, this little white snake would come looking for him. Reluctantly, he gently pushed the little white snake's face away with his tail. Whispering softly, sadly, you and I belong to different worlds. From now on, we must part ways. Hei glanced at the female snakes around him. Their eyes filled with invitation. Then sighed while looking at the scene around him. If it were me from a year ago, I'd also join in mating, shamelessly spreading my seed everywhere. But since gaining enlightenment, I've lost interest in such lowly desires. I returned to the Valley of 10,000 Snakes solely for cultivation. Hei looked toward the glowing tree in the cave's center, exclaiming excitedly, yes, that's the snake fruit, which ripens once every 3 years. This spring is exactly when it's ripe. Just by eating it, my cultivation will increase significantly. It's incredibly beneficial to snakes. He recalled 3 years earlier, when he had accidentally swallowed a snake fruit, granting him intelligence. If I consume all 3 fruits this time, I wonder if I can break through to the 4th layer spirit awakening? Gazing expectantly at the nearly ripe snake fruits hanging on the branches, Hei felt hopeful. Once I reach mid-stage spirit awakening, I'll finally be able to cast some spells, instead of relying purely on physical strength. Suddenly, 2 figures appeared at the cave entrance. Zhao Wenzhou's voice echoed. Senior sister Tong, this is the Valley of 10,000 Snakes. That senior brother Ding and I discovered previously. The snake fruit tree is inside the valley. Hearing this, Hei used his spiritual sense to check outside. Startled, realizing people had come, he paused abruptly, finding the voice familiar. The 2 gradually entered the valley. It turned out to be Zhao Wenzhou and an exceptionally beautiful woman in a red robe named Tong Shiyu. Zhao Wenzhou spoke with deep regret. Unfortunately, senior brother Ding sacrificed himself to save me. Before he finished, Tong Shiyu interrupted. Let's not bring up past matters. This time, you've done well. Consider it redemption. Seeing familiar faces, Hei thought quietly. Snake hunters again? Zhao Wenzhou continued trying to please her. We're almost at the snake fruit tree. This harvest entirely belongs to you, senior sister. Hearing this, Tong Shiyu immediately declined. No need, I won't take them all for myself. 2 snake fruits are enough for me. Zhao Wenzhou lowered his voice, expressing his gratitude. Thank you, senior sister. Suddenly, Zhao Wenzhou seemed to recall something. But senior sister, any spiritual herb will be guarded by a beast. We must be cautious. Tong Shiyu immediately covered her face with a veil, then sprinkled some powder lightly on him, speaking gently. Here, apply some realgar. Don't worry, I borrowed a very powerful magical artifact from Master. Tong Shiyu rubbed her thumbs and index fingers together, analyzing. The only demon snake here is that old snake cane. If it dares to appear, all the better, I'll use its gallbladder as medicine. Hei lowered his head, listening to their conversation. He understood and became furious. They came for the snake fruit, and even brought a magical artifact to deal with me. What should I do? Should I run? He asked himself and quickly answered. No, the snake fruits are about to ripen. If I flee, they'll take advantage of my efforts. Hei thought back to his battle with the demon bear. Feeling somewhat confident, he murmured. I've already reached the peak of the 3rd layer spirit awakening. Besides, these snake hunters may not be stronger than me. Remembering the expression of the demon eel from before, Hei grew even more confident. The demon eel and the demon bear. They were both able to kill snake hunters. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew in, carrying a strange scent. Hua Hei quickly lowered his head, covering his nose with his tail. Wait, something's wrong. What's that awful smell? He immediately dove into the water, sending droplets splashing everywhere. The scent is too strong. I need to hide and observe. Who knows? Maybe those two will end up fighting each other. From what Hua Hei had observed in the past, he concluded, humans are prone to conflict. After all, even though he had hidden underwater, Hua Hei still felt the unpleasant scent lingering around his nose. He opened his mouth and lay in the water, looking as if he were about to die. The two humans continued to approach where he was hiding. Zhao Wenzhou's voice called out, "Senior Sister Tong, what if the old Snake King doesn't appear?" Tong Shi Yu folded her arms, smirking coldly. "If it doesn't appear, I'll simply pick the snake fruits myself. But I wanted to show up. After all, the old Snake King has lived for over 10 years. Its lifespan is almost up. It needs the snake fruits to extend its life." Poor Hua Hei. The closer they got, the more uncomfortable he felt, until he couldn't endure it anymore. He opened his mouth and bolted away in desperation. When he finally reached a bend, Hua Hei emerged to catch his breath, but he could still sense the strange scent. He covered his nose with his tail again, cursing angrily. "It's you who's nearing the end of your lifespan. Your whole family's nearing the end of their lifespan. Clearly, my body is still healthy and growing steadily. That woman is just spouting nonsense." Looking at the two of them standing near the snake fruit tree, Hua Hei recalled their earlier conversation. He wondered, "But the villagers always called me the old black snake. Why is that?" No, now is not the time to think about such things. They were about to pick the snake fruits. Suddenly, Tong Shi Yu signaled Zhao Wenzhou to stop. She crossed her arms and said, "Wait, don't go there yet. It's about to come out." Zhao Wenzhou looked around nervously, asking, "Where?" Hua Hei, hiding nearby, heard their conversation. Sweat poured down his face as he panicked. Could it be, she has discovered me? Suddenly, a faint rumbling sound emerged from the ground nearby. Cracks gradually appeared, growing clearer as stones scattered everywhere. The rumbling grew louder, and a long fissure appeared on the ground. Then, with a thunderous roar, Tong Shi Yu's voice called out from behind, "Move away quickly." A gigantic black snake emerged from the earth. Tong Shi Yu calmly flipped through the air, coldly stating, "HMPH, the old black snake has finally appeared." Hua Hei was so stunned by the scene that his eyes widened. His mouth hung open, making him look utterly ridiculous. Tong Shi Yu hovered midair, face to face with the enormous snake. Hua Hei suddenly realized, "So, this is the real old Snake King? Was I just a fake this whole time? Could it be that the old Snake King was the one who caused all the havoc before, earning a fearsome reputation far and wide? Then, as it aged, it stopped appearing, just when I showed up." Tong Shi Yu raised her hand and chanted an incantation. A sticky, brown substance appeared, which she directed towards the old Snake King. The substance enlarged and enveloped the old Snake King's wide-open mouth. Hua Hei watched the fight with excitement. "Oh, they're fighting. They're actually fighting." The old Snake King twisted its massive body into a wide circle, then bit down, shattering the brown substance. Tong Shi Yu immediately retreated. Hua Hei marveled. These snake hunters are incredibly powerful this time. But the old Snake King is so old. Can it still win? Tong Shi Yu continued her assault, taking out a small bell and throwing it toward the old Snake King. She shouted, suppressing Spirit Bell. Hua Hei thought to himself, "That woman just pulled out another magical treasure. She's not giving the old Snake King any time to rest." Not stopping there, Tong Shi Yu took out another magical treasure. Shouting, 8-direction sound suppression. The old Snake King was affected by the sound emanating from the magical treasure. It let out a loud roar, its enormous body writhing frantically, causing rocks and dirt to scatter everywhere. Even from a distance, Hua Hei was affected. He yelled out in frustration, "What the hell is this? The sound feels like it's going to tear me apart." Tong Shi Yu continued her relentless assault. Shouting, flowing blade strike. Pink-colored spikes shot forward, aimed directly at the old Snake King's head. However, the strikes appeared completely ineffective. Seeing that her attacks did nothing, the old Snake King let out a furious hiss, emitting a threatening hiss sound. Watching her attacks prove useless, Tong Shi Yu murmured with amazement. Its scales are too tough. If I could skin them off, I could definitely forge a powerful armor. Zhao Wenzhou, standing beside her, showered her with praise. Senior sister, you're truly incredible, but I don't think you can defeat the old Snake King alone. Let me help you. Tong Shi Yu agreed to his offer. She descended to the ground below, then signaled to her junior brother. Zhao Wenzhou, Windblade Talisman, Phantom Duel. He immediately obeyed her command, enthusiastically replying, yes, senior sister, let's attack it together and kill it. The two of them combined their attacks, launching strikes at the old Snake King. Streams of green spiritual energy continuously pierced into its body. As he saw the old Snake King gradually losing its strength, Zhao Wenzhou laughed gleefully. Senior sister, the old Snake King is weakening. It's working. Hua Hei observed the battle between the two sides and thought to himself. So, this is the power of human magical treasures. This woman is far more powerful than the previous one. He peeked his head out again. Seeing his fellow snakekind was at a disadvantage, Hua Hei pondered the situation. The old Snake King is in trouble. Should I help it, or should I just eat the snake fruits and run away? But the snake fruits aren't ripe yet. Eating them now may be useless. With that thought, Hua Hei wrapped his tail around a nearby stone, determined to help. Whatever, we're both of the same snake tribe. I'll assist it. From the darkness, Hua Hei suddenly heard a noise in the distance. He glanced over and noticed the snake fruit tree was shaking violently. Surprised, he exclaimed, huh? Something's happening over by the snake fruit tree. Looking more closely, he shouted, who's there? It turned out there was a man kneeling behind the snake fruit tree. His hands were gripping the tree, trying to uproot it from the ground. Seeing he was about to succeed, the man sneered and said, HMPH, while the clam and the crane fight, the fisherman reaps the reward. Fortunately, the snake hunters lured the old Snake King away. Now, the snake fruit tree will be mine. Seeing this, Hua Hei urgently shouted, stop. Ignoring the danger, he leapt forward and yelled angrily, you bastard, how dare you try to uproot the snake fruit tree? You deserve to die. The man, startled by the furious shout, hurriedly applied more force and pulled the tree from the ground. Looking up, his eyes filled with terror as he screamed, what kind of monster is this? Hua Hei saw the man had completely uprooted the tree, and he was enraged. Even hunters leave a path for their prey to escape. But you're tearing it up from the roots? Die, you beast. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He opened his mouth and swallowed the man whole. Because the man was still clutching the tree, the snake fruit tree was also dragged along and swallowed with him. Hua Hei was shocked but couldn't stop himself. Oh no, I accidentally swallowed the entire tree. Because the tree's trunk was too large, Hua Hei tried to open his mouth as wide as he could. But it wasn't enough. He groaned in pain. Ah, it hurts so much. Hua Hei felt his body starting to change, as the tree's leaves were already being digested. This feels terrible. His stomach felt swollen and about to explode. He couldn't bear it anymore. Hua Hei could only contract his stomach, forcing the tree back out. With a loud plop, the snake fruit tree was expelled and thrown far away. He let out a sigh of relief. Finally, I managed to throw it up. Noticing the overwhelming energy within his body, Hua Hei shouted a mantra. Heaven and earth are the chessboard. All living beings are the pieces. Demon God Cauldron. He observed and saw that the demon god cauldron within his body was completely full. Hua Hei exclaimed in surprise. Huh? What's going on with the demon god cauldron? Did I just reach the great perfection of the third layer spirit awakening? He let out a long sigh of relief. That was close. So it wasn't poison, it was that the energy was too powerful. Hua Hei looked at the snake fruit tree. Now, only the tree trunk and the fruits remained, shining with a glittering light. He mumbled to himself, the leaves, I ate them all. Could it be that the previous outburst was caused by those leaves? You pluck herbs, but as soon as you swallow them, they're digested. But the demon god cauldron took a long time to refine the energy from the leaves. After a while, Hua Hei clenched the tree trunk in his mouth and swam across the river, muttering as he went, no time to think about these things. I need to get out of here quickly. I absolutely cannot let the snake fruit tree fall into their hands. Meanwhile, the old Snake King had been defeated. Its body was chopped into pieces, blood spilling everywhere. Zhao Wenzhou's weary voice sounded softly. He sat on one of the segments of the old Snake King's body. Praising Tong Shi Yu. Senior Sister Tong, you are truly powerful. You managed to defeat the old Snake King in less than a single incense stick's time. Tong Shi Yu was also severely injured. Her sleeves bore several tears, and her body was stained with traces of blood. She glanced at Zhao Wenzhou, wondering where the boy had run off to earlier. But outwardly, she merely sneered coldly. HMPH, of course. But junior brother Zhao showed no remarkable performance at all. Let's go. It's time to harvest the snake fruits. As they looked ahead, all they saw was a deep pit surrounded by scattered rocks. The snake fruit tree had completely vanished. The two of them exclaimed in surprise. What? Where did the tree go? Tong Shi Yu speculated to herself. Could it be that brat from earlier? Despite her suspicions, she only voiced her frustration. Damn it, who the hell did this? Zhao Wenzhou, however, seemed much calmer. If senior sister wanted to keep the snake fruit tree for herself, you could have just said so. Why bother doing something like this behind my back? Tong Shi Yu turned around, crossing her arms over her chest, and shouted angrily. What? What do you mean by that? Junior brother Zhao? Are you accusing me while playing the victim? Zhao Wenzhou responded with a calm, indifferent tone. Exactly what I said. He lifted his hand to adjust the veil covering his face, and continued speaking. Senior sister, just call out your accomplice who stole the tree. I guarantee I won't tell master. Tong Shi Yu snorted with cold amusement, as if hearing a ridiculous joke. Nonsense. I have no accomplice. If it wasn't you, then was it some other masterful thief? Zhao Wenzhou scoffed. HMPH. Senior sister, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? The atmosphere between the two grew increasingly tense. From a distance, Hua Hei observed the scene using his spiritual sense, feeling delighted inside. Good. They're already suspecting each other. Fight. Come on, fight. Zhao Wenzhou then produced a round, green jade pendant. Its name was the transmission jade, a commonly used item in the snake sect for communication. If senior sister refuses to admit it, then I'll summon master to resolve this matter. Tong Shi Yu, hearing his threat, replied defiantly. Go ahead, call him. Who's afraid of who? Suddenly, a hand grabbed Zhao Wenzhou's wrist, stopping him from holding the jade pendant. A stern voice shouted, that's enough. When Zhao Wenzhou saw the person's face, he murmured softly, Senior brother Mu Yun. The man's name was Mu Yun. With a serious expression, he spoke. Master was aware of your actions, so he sent me to follow you, secretly protecting you. I saw your argument just now. It was truly a disgrace. Zhao Wenzhou still didn't believe his senior brother. He protested. Then, was it you who took the snake fruit tree? Senior brother? Before he could finish his sentence, Mu Yun interrupted. It wasn't me. There was another skilled practitioner. Moreover, this person was very cunning, using a mortal to uproot the tree and only stepping in later to take it away. Mu Yun's eyes grew icy cold. If not, as long as there was any spiritual energy fluctuation, I would have sensed it and chased them down. Mu Yun placed his hand on the ground, investigating as a faint green light appeared, gradually dispersing into the surroundings. He murmured softly, now, the only way to track them is by following their footprints. The trail ends here. Zhao Wenzhou asked in frustration. Then what do we do now? Still crouched down, Mu Yun continued examining the ground, carefully tracing the faint clues. Don't worry. As long as that person is still alive, I will definitely find them. Tong Shi Yu spoke up to support him. Of course, with senior brother Mu Yun's cultivation at the 6th layer of qi refinement, you will definitely catch the tree thief. Hua Hei, overhearing this, trembled all over. He stuttered to himself. The 6th layer of qi refinement? How can I possibly provoke someone like that? With just a wave of his hand, he could easily kill me. Hua Hei buried himself deeper into the hole, reassuring himself. This cave should be deep enough. As long as I temporarily conceal my spiritual sense, even someone who's mastered qi refinement at the great perfection stage might not find me. As he thought about this, he suddenly froze, noticing a familiar scent. He turned his head and wondered aloud. What's that smell? Following the scent, he found the snake fruits emitting a soothing fragrance. Seeing the ripe fruits releasing their alluring scent, he couldn't help but blurt out. Damn. On the other side, Mu Yun also noticed the fragrance. The snake fruits are ripening? He informed his companions. It's the scent of ripe snake fruits, emanating from underground. Zhao Wen-zhou exclaimed in surprise. Really? Without hesitation, Mu Yun activated his earth movement technique and dove straight into the ground. Hua Hei was startled. He's coming down here? He's a mid-stage cultivator. All mid-stage cultivators know spells. That's the earth movement technique, one of the 5 elements techniques. Realizing the danger, Hua Hei panicked and began desperately, frantically, using his tail to grab the ripe snake fruits and shove them into his mouth. He told himself, swallow first, then escape, eat everything. Hua Hei shouted his incantation. Heaven and earth are the chessboard. All living beings are the pieces. Demon God Cauldron, refine them for me. The demon god cauldron opened its mouth and began devouring, absorbing the waves of energy that the snake fruits provided. Hua Hei urged it on desperately. Hurry up, refine faster, please. Meanwhile, Mu Yun descended from above. Mu Yun spotted a small tunnel entrance in the ground where Hua Hei had escaped. He sneered coldly. So, you're quite good at hiding. Huh? Your earth movement technique is not inferior to mine. But I wonder, what is your cultivation level? Mu Yun took a small pill and swallowed it. Then laughed darkly. HMPH, no matter, with the treasure left by the Grand Master. As long as you are not a foundation establishment cultivator. Mu Yun began digging through the earth where Hua Hei had escaped. He spoke with a deep voice. I can kill you all the same. His eyes turned blood red as he used the earth movement technique to burrow underground. How dare you steal from the snake sect? Today, you won't escape death. Hua Hei, feeling his pursuer getting closer, muttered nervously. He's still chasing me? Is he swimming through the earth or something? He quickly urged the demon god cauldron. Stop being lazy. Hurry up and refine. If you don't, we're both dead. Don't you understand? The mouth of the demon god cauldron gradually opened wider and wider, devouring the energy from the snake fruit tree. Seeing this, Hua Hei was overjoyed. Yes, the cauldron's mouth is opening so wide. It actually understood what I said. As the demon god cauldron continued to refine, Hua Hei's body began to transform. Golden energy spread throughout his body. His fangs grew longer, muscles swelled, and more golden scales appeared on his skin. Hua Hei felt completely revitalized. His entire body had undergone a full transformation. He spat out the snake fruit tree he had been holding in his mouth and shouted. I broke through to the 4th layer spirit awakening. Mu Yun, who had been chasing him relentlessly, finally caught up and was stunned by what he saw. Anger and frustration overwhelmed him, making it difficult to speak. I've been chasing for half a day. And it turns out you're not even a human cultivator. But a snake? But looking at Hua Hei holding the snake fruit tree and preparing to flee, Mu Yun couldn't help but reconsider. No, this snake just broke through to mid-stage spirit awakening. And instead of confronting me, it's trying to gnaw on the tree and escape? Such intelligence. Even a great demon at the foundation establishment stage doesn't possess such cunning. Seeing Hua Hei running away, Mu Yun immediately pursued him. I can't kill this demon. I must capture it alive and bring it back to the sect for research. That would surely earn me great merit. Meanwhile, Hua Hei was running with lightning speed, feeling ecstatic. Finally, I've broken through to the 4th layer, reaching mid-stage spirit awakening. The golden scales on my tail have increased. I can feel myself growing stronger. I'm sure I can escape successfully this time. But from behind him, Mu Yun suddenly pulled out a golden rope. It looked extremely powerful. Before Hua Hei could revel in his newfound strength for long, he was harshly brought back to reality. He thought to himself, this guy not only knows spells, but he also has a magical treasure. Mu Yun threw the golden rope forward and shouted, Go, supreme grade spiritual treasure, beast binding cord. The rope quickly extended and stretched, shooting toward Hua Hei. Seeing the rope approaching, Hua Hei's head was covered in sweat. He thought to himself, the pressure is too intense. This treasure looks like an ordinary rope, but its power is terrifying. Seeing the rope closing in fast, Hua Hei realized that if he were caught, he would surely die. Thinking quickly, he spit out the snake fruit tree, then twisted his body and used his tail to flick the golden rope away. Hua Hei shouted loudly, Get lost! For the first time, his tail's action produced an unexpected result. He was surprised to see that his tail had missed the golden rope. Seeing Mu Yun retract the rope only to throw it back again, Hua Hei grew tense. I can't believe it. My golden scales couldn't break it. Nor could I throw it off. Mu Yun saw Hua Hei's failed counterattack and sneered coldly. HMPH. This is a high-grade spiritual treasure. Don't even mention a mid-stage spirit awakening demon. Even a late-stage demonic beast would have to submit obediently. Hua Hei grew furious. He knew that magical treasures were controlled by spiritual sense. So, Hua Hei summoned the divine dragon. A radiant light spread in all directions, appearing incredibly mighty. If that's the case, then I will erase your spiritual sense. Mu Yun mocked him with a smirk. Ha, it's trying to resist my spiritual sense. You can't erase it. He gripped the golden rope tightly, preparing to attack again, his expression filled with confidence. HMPH. Foolish creature. This beast binding cord was crafted by me. Its spiritual sense is so firm that nothing can destroy it. Unless a foundation establishment cultivator intervenes. Only then could it possibly be erased. But a weakling like you? The beast binding cord slammed toward Hua Hei, sending rocks flying everywhere. Hua Hei quickly changed tactics. He grabbed the golden rope with his mouth and swallowed it whole. He smacked his lips and muttered, HMPH. If I can't erase the spiritual sense, then I'll use my body to imprison it. The deeper the beast binding cord went into his body, the hotter Hua Hei's body became. It was unbearably uncomfortable. He groaned in pain. This hurts so much. But thankfully, I have thick skin. Just endure it a bit longer. If it can't pierce through me, he'll eventually give up. Controlling this thing must be a huge drain on his true energy. Mu Yun did not expect his opponent to pull such a trick. He watched as the beast binding cord slipped out of his grasp. Angry and infuriated, he chased after Hua Hei, shouting, You vile beast! You dare to eat my magical treasure? Damn creature! Don't run! Beast binding cord, pierce through it. Seeing Mu Yun in such a frantic state only made Hua Hei run faster. Only a fool would stay here and let him catch me. Half an hour later, both sides were still engaged in a relentless chase, leaving debris scattered all over the Valley of 10,000 Snakes. Mu Yun used the earth movement technique to tunnel through the ground, all the while cursing under his breath. Damn you, wretched beast! Seeing Hua Hei running just ahead, Mu Yun gritted his teeth in frustration, furious at how cunning the creature was. This damn snake is incredibly tricky. It's been leading me around this maze-like cave for so long. A whole incense stick's worth of time. The narrow terrain is forcing me to use the earth movement technique constantly. Mu Yun continued his pursuit, all the while thinking, my true energy is being consumed too quickly. I have to end this fast. Mu Yun shouted furiously, Vile beast! Stop running and return my magical treasure. Meanwhile, Hua Hei, still holding the snake fruit tree in his mouth, was running ahead while carefully calculating his next move. The magical treasure inside my stomach has already quieted down. It seems he's run out of energy to control it any longer. Hua Hei imagined the scene of himself, wrapping his body tightly around Mu Yun. He spat out the snake fruit tree and began to think. Just running away won't work. I have to figure out a way to kill him. Eliminating future threats. For a demonic beast to fight against a human cultivator, the best strategy is to get up close and engage in direct combat. Although he's been chasing me, he always attacks from a distance, keeping about 10 meters away. Judging from that, Hua Hei deduced, that must be the range where he feels safe. If I can adjust my speed accordingly, make him let his guard down, then strike when he least expects it. Hua Hei gradually began to slow down. Mu Yun sneered coldly. HMPH. The beast is slowing down. It must be exhausted. If you've already swallowed the beast binding cord, then I'll just cut your belly open to retrieve it. He quickly pulled out a yellow talisman. Mu Yun muttered to himself. The most important thing right now is to retrieve the beast binding cord and capture the beast alive. With this thought, he shouted urgently, In the name of the law, heavenly steel wind blades. The talisman in his hand began to glow brightly, emitting beams of green light. The green light, as swift as the wind, shot toward Hua Hei. The light beams struck his tail, but to Mu Yun's astonishment, they had no effect. Hua Hei was secretly delighted. Yes, this is my chance. The beams continued to rain down like arrows, but Hua Hei skillfully coiled his body to dodge them. The green light struck the ground, slicing through rocks as if they were tofu, sending dust and debris flying everywhere. Mu Yun couldn't believe his eyes. What? Heavenly steel wind blades. Can kill any mid-stage demonic beast. Yet it can't even hurt this one? Watching Hua Hei remain unharmed while still fleeing, Mu Yun continued his pursuit. Confused and frustrated. What kind of scales are those? Why are they so tough? He then pulled out another magical treasure known as the Serpent Slaying Sword. Its blade was coiled and wavy, resembling the body of a snake. Mu Yun growled. Vile beast. Did you think I would fear you? He gripped the sword tightly, and spiritual energy gradually gathered, forming the shape of a massive snake. Coiling around the blade, he threatened. I intended to capture you alive, but since you so desperately want to die, don't blame me. This treasured sword has slain countless snakes. After being refined through countless rituals, it's not easily drawn from its sheath. Mu Yun swung the sword toward Hua Hei. Countless translucent, gigantic snake images appeared in the air. He declared with a condescending tone, dying beneath this blade today should be an honor for you. Hua Hei saw the attack but refused to show weakness. He raised his head high, baring his sharp fangs toward his opponent. His tail was ready to defend against the assault. Seeing Hua Hei's tail remain intact, Mu Yun was shocked. Huh? How is that possible? Why didn't the sword cut through it? He looked down at his sword and found that it had already broken. Clenching his teeth in disbelief, he muttered, My sword. How could this be? Hua Hei, enraged, opened his mouth wide and roared furiously. You're not worthy of cutting my scales. Then he whipped his tail fiercely toward Mu Yun, sending him flying. The jade pendant Mu Yun carried was also flung away. Mu Yun was sent flying, struggling to half sit, half kneel on the ground, one hand clutching his other arm. He looked up to see the snake's tail swaying in front of him. Grumbling, he realized his sword was broken. He had exhausted all his true energy to block that blow, yet still ended up badly wounded. Looking closely at Hua Hei's figure, Mu Yun was stunned. This can't be. This isn't just an ordinary snake demon. Could it be a dragon in its juvenile form? The thought made his scalp tingle, and he quickly decided, I have to run. I need to get to the surface fast. But, he wondered, can my remaining true energy still support the earth movement technique? Mu Yun surveyed his surroundings, and when he looked up, he was surprised to see a cave opening above him. A glimmer of joy flickered in his heart. Could this be a sign from the heavens? Mu Yun thought to himself, I must report this to the sect immediately. He quickly performed a spell, shouting, Wind control spell. However, as Mu Yun shot up from the ground, he was stopped by a thick barrier. Surprised, he muttered, Is this snakeskin? Mu Yun recalled the moment when Hua Hei spat out the snake fruit tree, and his body began to transform. It must have been the moment the creature leveled up. Mu Yun tried to escape from the snakeskin barrier, but suddenly felt like someone was watching him. He thought back to when the snake shed its skin, and the intense pain hit him in the head. Looking back, he saw that Hua Hei had bitten off his arm, and was diving into the ground. It suddenly dawned on him. Has that beast been planning this all along? Just as Mu Yun and Hua Hei stood there, they suddenly heard a loud, shrill scream. Tong Shi Yu quickly exclaimed. That sounds like senior brother Mu Yun's scream. Zhao Wen Zhou countered. Impossible. Senior brother Mu Yun has strong cultivation. How could he be in danger? Nearby, a huge burst of flames appeared, filling the air with smoke. Along with it came a familiar voice. Explosive flame barrier. Zhao Wen Zhou looked over, confused. Huh? Mu Yun, also surprised, jumped up. The two of them called out in unison. Senior brother Mu Yun. Mu Yun appeared, his face filled with panic. He was holding his injured arm tightly, running and shouting, Run! There's a juvenile dragon beneath us. Tong Shi Yu was shocked and asked, A juvenile dragon? If that's the case, we're all doomed. Zhao Wen Zhou, clearly frightened, grabbed Tong Shi Yu by the neck and pulled her along. Senior sister, we can't afford to hesitate. We have to run first and think later. Seeing Mu Yun running ahead, Zhao Wen Zhou quickly grabbed Tong Shi Yu's arm and urged, Let's go in the opposite direction of senior brother. Tong Shi Yu, now with no other choice, reluctantly agreed. We have no other option. We'll have to go along with this plan. Hua Hei chased up to the edge of the pit, feeling regretful. Such a mistake. I didn't expect him to lose an arm and still activate the explosive talisman. He thought to himself, if I let him escape now, the consequences will be unimaginable. Mu Yun was running toward the mouth of the valley. Almost out of it. The snake demon was still about 100 meters away. It was unlikely to catch up. Mu Yun thought. I need to quickly return to the sect. He gritted his teeth, clutching his injured arm, muttering angrily, "Damn beast. You're as good as dead." Meanwhile, this image flashed in the eyes of the old snake king. Suddenly, a thick, slimy green liquid shot from its mouth, heading toward Mu Yun. Mu Yun was horrified, shouting loudly, "Ah!" He rolled and tumbled in pain. As the poison from the wound began to spread, he cursed himself in frustration. How could I make such a basic mistake? Even though its head had been severed, the old snake king could still use its venom. Mu Yun quickly reached into his bag for an antidote. And just as he found it, he swallowed the pill. But then, he saw the snake demon approaching quickly. It's too late. The snake demon has caught up. Mu Yun took out a palm-sized spherical item, which he had originally planned to use for cultivation. But now, he had no choice but to use it as a last-ditch effort to save himself. The high-grade spiritual treasure was quickly activated, absorbing energy from the orb. Mu Yun shouted urgently, "Activate, full power." With a burst of speed, he ran like the wind. Hua Hei, watching from a distance, grew worried. He's too fast. I need to slow him down. Hua Hei bent down and tried to use his mouth to rip off a golden scale. But it didn't work. Damn it, there's no time. He must die now. There's only one option left. With all his might, Hua Hei launched a golden scale toward Mu Yun. Seeing Mu Yun's frantic escape, Hua Hei sneered, knowing that the golden scale was about to hit. Mu Yun wanted to run, but the golden scale pierced through his chest, causing him to spit blood. Hua Hei spoke with certainty. "You're going to die today. No matter what." Mu Yun turned around, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, his eyes wide with fear as he saw the scales rushing toward him. With despair in his voice, he shouted, "No!" One golden scale after another pierced through Mu Yun's body. Hua Hei approached Mu Yun's fallen body, groaning to himself, this hurts. He's definitely dead, right? But what if the body gets up again? What should I do then?" Hua Hei slammed his tail against Mu Yun's corpse, shattering it completely. Now, it can't rise again. He sighed deeply, feeling a sense of loss over the golden scales. "I hope it will grow back." Hua Hei opened his mouth wide and swallowed a portion of the scales, hoping to absorb their energy. "Eat first, and see if I can gain some strength from it." As he swallowed, a small bag fell out from Mu Yun's body. Hua Hei picked it up and saw that it was a small embroidered pouch. He murmured, this is his storage bag. There must be some treasures inside." Hua Hei took the pouch and held it tightly with his tail. His eyes flashed with two golden rays. "This is the spiritual seal left behind. I must erase this spiritual imprint and leave my own on it." Suddenly, a warm voice echoed around him. "Little one, live well." Hua Hei looked up, startled. What was that sound? The voice came from the old snake king, who was slowly fading away. "Little one, continue living." Hua Hei approached and whispered, calling out to the old snake king. His mind suddenly went blank, and a dark night seemed to surround him. The dusty memories of Hua Hei gradually became clearer, and an image of the glowing snake fruit appeared. A whole region slowly came into view. It was 3 years ago. Back then, the snake fruit had ripened, producing 2 massive fruits. At that time, my spiritual intelligence had not yet opened, and my instinct was to devour everything. However, a massive swarm of snakes had arrived, too many of them piling on top of each other. Each of them was ferociously aggressive. Hua Hei fought back, but with little success, as the scent of the snake fruit attracted more than half of the snakes in the valley. In the end, only 2 lucky ones survived, and it was clear that this would end in a brutal massacre. Suddenly, a colossal snake appeared, and at that very moment, a shrill scream pierced through the air. The old snake king appeared, his presence overwhelming everything around. All the snakes stopped fighting, lying flat on the ground in submission. Even I was so frightened I couldn't move forward. Hua Hei's expression was one of surprise as he looked at the glowing snake fruit in front of him. The snakes around him seemed extremely envious but dared not act. Then, the old snake king offered Hua Hei one of the fruits. "It was because of this fruit that I became what I am today." In the old snake king's eyes, Hua Hei's image eating the snake fruit appeared, with other snakes looking on with longing. Since ancient times, Snakes were selfish creatures, cold-blooded by nature. Even among the same clan, they would kill each other. The strongest would survive. Yet, in the old Snake King's eyes, there was no coldness. Wah-Hei, seeing the lack of light in the old Snake King's eyes, softly asked, "Why do you treat me this way?" Time seemed to stop as Wah-Hei fell into a long silence. He couldn't let go. Wah-Hei trembled as he touched the cold body of the old Snake King. A sense of sorrow gradually grew within him. This indescribable emotion slowly transformed into hatred. His face filled with rage, his eyes brimming with tears, and his voice grew firm as he shouted, "Snake hunters, I will never tolerate you." Under a large, ancient tree, 3 stones were stacked from largest to smallest. Wah-Hei sighed deeply and said, "That's it, this is enough." Wah-Hei stood before the 3 stones, bowing his head. "Old Snake King, I will follow humans' customs and build a memorial for you." Wah-Hei whispered, "I hope in the next life, you can be reborn as a human." He continued softly, "I believe I understand the last words you said to me. Once a creature reaches spiritual enlightenment, it always cares for its successors. I will remember, when I am strong enough. I will definitely not forget to pass this on to the future generations." He looked up at the sky, surrounded by steep cliffs and dense trees. Wah-Hei couldn't help but feel troubled. "But with my current strength, it's still not enough. The Valley of 10,000 Snakes has already been discovered by the snake hunters. For now, I cannot stay here." As Wah-Hei passed by a large rock, he noticed a woman lying on the ground. A group of snakes was crawling around her and even on her body. He was surprised. "Huh? Isn't this Tong Shi Yu? Didn't she escape earlier? She looked like she was barely hanging on. Probably not surviving much longer." Seeing her trembling on the ground, Wah-Hei carefully considered whether to swallow her whole. She had always said, "Perhaps my golden scales might grow back a bit faster." But she had already run away earlier. So how could she end up here? What if this is a trap? He thought carefully, observing the snakes getting closer to her. He considered the possibility that there might be some kind of restriction on her. And he shouldn't be too greedy. Wah-Hei remembered Dane Hai, and then Mu Yun, who had been killed by the old Snake King's venom. He wondered where Zhao Wen-zhou was. Was it him who killed Dane Hai last time? Could he be behind this again? And what about the head of the old Snake King? Could it also be him, setting things up near the entrance? Wah-Hei still didn't understand, but he kept wondering why he would do something like this. As he thought about it, he turned to look at Tong Shi Yu, only to see her being devoured by a colossal snake. Wah-Hei yelled, "Stop eating her," but it was too late. A loud explosion rang out, and the snake's head exploded into pieces. Wah-Hei was horrified. It was a trap after all. Zhao Wen-zhou is terrifying. Wah-Hei wondered to himself, what does he want to do in a place like this? Meanwhile, Zhao Wen-zhou was kneeling before a moss-covered grave, his face dazed. A sigh escaped his lips. "Looks like Tong Shi Yu is dead," he muttered. "Father, mother, little sister, I've avenged you all." Zhao Wen-zhou bowed his head before the grave, still holding the dead snake in his hand. His voice was steady as he chanted, "Chen Shui, Ding Hai, Tong Shi Yu, Mu Yun, they've joined you now, to rest with the others." Zhao Wen-zhou clenched the snake's neck. "Only 2 remain now, Chen Daolang and my disciples. I won't spare anyone." With a firm grip, he twisted the snake's neck. "This is my final goodbye." The next day, Zhao Wen-zhou stood outside the Valley of 10,000 Snakes, in front of the carcass of the snake that had swallowed Tong Shi Yu. The body was now a bloody mess. He sneered, "HMPH, Chen Daolang will be here soon." Zhao Wen-zhou endured the pain, holding the snake's head as it bit into his arm. He was just waiting to lure the snakes over to bite him. Zhao Wen-zhou lay flat on the ground, blood pouring from his arm, staining the earth. After biting, the snake quickly slithered away. He groaned in pain, calling out, "Master, come save your disciple." Half an hour later, in a place between 2 towering cliffs with dense vegetation, Mu Luo's voice rang out. "Master hasn't found any sign of senior brother. Senior sister's breath is fading, but junior brother is still alive." Then, they found Zhao Wen-zhou. Mu Luo gently supported his head, holding a pill in his hand, preparing to feed it to his disciple. Mu Luo whispered, "Thankfully, he's still hanging on. Quickly take this antidote, then focus on healing and rest for a few months. Your life will no longer be in danger." Zhao Wenzhou weakly spoke. Master, I am useless. Mu Luo stopped him from speaking further. Don't say anything. It's not your fault. Chen Daolang's angry gaze flashed red. And he shouted, what nonsense is this? Who is the demon that harmed me, causing this loss? I want to skin it alive and offer it as a sacrifice to the heavens. Inside a limestone cave at Ironstrong Mountain, light streamed in from the cave entrance. And everything seemed peaceful. Hua Hei's voice echoed. I finally made it back to my mountain peak. The snake hunters are probably still in the Valley of 10,000 Snakes. As long as I hide here, I should be safe. Hua Hei looked at the snake fruit tree, which he had successfully planted. It seemed that the tree had not died. The environment here was similar to the one before, so it had grown well. Hopefully, it would survive. Hua Hei used his tail to flip open the storage bag he had obtained after the battle. He was extremely excited, hoping to see what treasures it contained. To his surprise, the bag was filled with food and pills. It seemed enough for him to cultivate for a while, to regrow his golden scales. He mumbled to himself, right, there's still the beast binding cord. Who knows, maybe I can even tame a demon beast to be my subordinate in the future. Hua Hei noticed a weathered book on the ground. It was titled The Record of 10,000 Snakes. He quietly asked himself, is this book? Hua Hei flipped through the pages. His expression filled with surprise. He spoke joyfully. This book is incredible. It lists all kinds of snakes, their ability to generate demon fire, and how they can spit poisonous flames. Ordinary humans who are exposed to this will die. Turns out, I am a black yin snake. Hua Hei looked at an illustration of a massive snake, which was cut in half by a man wielding a sword. He muttered to himself, so in the end, this snake was killed and refined into pills by the ancestors. Even a great serpent demon capable of spitting fire and reaching the foundation establishment stage can still be slain by humans. The most important thing now is to grow stronger. If I can learn some spells, that would be even better. Hua Hei then used his tail to grab a nearby jade slip. He was curious because the jade slip was shimmering, looking far from ordinary. Hua Hei wondered to himself, can I withdraw it? Then, using his spiritual sense, he was stunned. These are all spells of immortal cultivators, and they even include detailed cultivation procedures. Hua Hei's eyes sparkled. I'm different from ordinary demonic beasts. I possess intelligence on par with humans. These spells, I'm sure I can learn them. 1 month later, a bird perched on a large branch, chirping as it observed its surroundings. A voice echoed, Earth movement technique. A rat was digging in the dirt. And there, Hua Hei was swiftly moving through the ground. His expression was serious. After over a month of training, his earth movement technique had become faster than Mu Yun's. The golden scales on his tail had completely regrown. His tail was now extremely flexible, moving back and forth within the earth. Hua Hei was delighted. By combining the earth movement technique with my tail to dig holes, I'm moving twice as fast as a typical snake hunter. They'll never catch up to me. As Hua Hei poked his head above the ground, he saw a bird appear nearby. Suddenly, a sound came from his stomach. Grumble, I'm so hungry. Unfortunately, his true energy was still too low. At the moment, his earth movement technique could only be sustained for about as long as an incense stick burned. If I had an ace up my sleeve, it would still be enough for now, he thought. Hua Hei opened his mouth and used fireball technique on the bird. The bird panicked and screamed, only to be roasted alive in the blazing red flame. The fireball technique was fairly effective, but there were still treasures on the record of 10,000 snakes. After the black yin snake reached the foundation establishment stage, demonic fire was born in its body. But it seemed it only took a few days. As Hua Hei gnawed on the bird's leg, an uninvited guest suddenly appeared in front of him. A wolf? Why are there so many footprints outside lately? At first, it seemed like just an ordinary wolf. But upon closer inspection, Hua Hei realized it wasn't just any wolf. It was the Moonlight Fang wolf, a demon beast that could use spells. Hua Hei sneered. HMPH. Too bad I'm not an ordinary demonic beast either. He pulled out the beast binding cord from his storage bag. His eyes flashed with an intimidating gleam. Hua Hei used force attraction technique and thought to himself, this is the perfect time for me to tame a subordinate to patrol the mountain. Sensing the danger, the Moonlight Fang wolf bared its teeth and howled loudly. Hua Hei tossed the beast binding cord toward it. The beast binding cord swiftly wrapped around it. You won't be able to escape this, Hua Hei said confidently. The cord quickly tightened around the Moonlight Fang Wolf's neck, and it struggled to break free. But Hua Hei commanded, "Lie down." The wolf howled, but eventually sat obediently, as if it had been tamed. Hua Hei raised his tail and ordered, "Grab my tail." The wolf immediately obeyed and took hold of his tail. Hua Hei then began issuing a series of commands for it to follow. "Congratulations, you've been tamed, now play dead." A dangerous look flashed in Hua Hei's eyes, and he smirked. "Hey, this beast binding cord is really interesting." Hua Hei mounted the Moonlight Fang Wolf and said, "Lead me on a patrol of the mountain." The Moonlight Fang Wolf took him through a waterfall. Hua Hei observed carefully. There are wild boars with their young. Deer are present, and there are over a dozen gazelles. The goats are neither too many nor too few. Probably some were eaten by wolves. There are over 100 rabbits. This is good. This is good. The self-sufficiency plan is working well. Suddenly, Hua Hei caught a familiar scent. He thought to himself, "Why does this scent seem so familiar?" Hua Hei saw a white snake and whispered to himself, "Huh, it's the little white snake from the Valley of 10,000 Snakes. She followed my scent here?" Looking at her current state, she probably is a black yin snake. Just a different color. He approached the little white snake. And since she hadn't yet fully evolved and developed intelligence, she couldn't speak. In her current form, she was probably a descendant of his junior. The little white snake happily coiled around Hua Hei. He shyly explained to the Moonlight Fang Wolf, "If she's a descendant and has some fate with me, it's only right for an elder like me to show some care for her. Please, show some restraint in public." But suddenly, the Moonlight Fang Wolf howled loudly, scaring the little white snake. Hua Hei immediately ordered, "Why are you scaring her? Quiet down." The Moonlight Fang Wolf grinned, but his smile was a bit eerie. Hua Hei shook his head and used his tail to retrieve the beast binding cord. "All right, stop smiling like that. I'll free you from the beast binding cord. But you have to promise me one thing." His expression grew serious. "First, you must willingly serve as my subordinate. You will help me hunt and bring the prey to my cave every day. Second, you must patrol the mountain for me every day. If you discover any humans within a 10-kilometer radius, you'll report to me immediately. If you fail to do this, I will kill you." The Moonlight Fang Wolf nodded in agreement. Hua Hei ordered, "Release the beast binding cord." The Moonlight Fang Wolf howled in delight. Hua Hei, frustrated, scolded, "Don't lick me in the limestone cave." Hua Hei turned to the little white snake, saying, "Stay here. I'll use a spell to protect the tree. I'll also teach you some simple cultivation techniques. You can meditate and cultivate here in the cave, looking after the snake fruit tree. I'll provide food, so you won't go hungry." The little white snake nodded happily. Meanwhile, at the southern peak of the Valley of 10,000 Snakes, a person was using an ancient compass to collect more magical power. Chen Dao Lang spoke. Unfortunately, after Zhao Wenzhou woke up, he could only provide a vague image of the demon beast, which isn't accurate. If not for the compass, how would we have searched for so long? Mu Luo spoke up. Junior brother said when the CACA escaped from the earth. He mentioned the enemy was a juvenile dragon. Chen Dao Lang discussed. "This is impossible. If it were truly a dragon, don't even mention them. Even I would have to die if I encountered it. There's no chance of escaping." Hua Hei guessed that the snake demon might have gained some intelligence. Or perhaps it was just a demon that had a bit of spiritual awareness, taken by a cultivator to grow stronger. Mu Luo explained. "The CACA that my disciple mentioned. It's probably just a defeat. A loss of face." At that moment, the compass detected a column of light within the forest. Chen Dao Lang responded, "I see it. It's likely in the mountain ahead." He commanded, "Let's split up. We'll search from both sides of the mountain. If we find any snake demons, report it immediately." Mu Luo quickly jumped down and said, "Understood, Master." The sun shone overhead as Mu Luo ventured deeper into the forest, feeling the faint presence of a snake demon nearby. But he wasn't sure if it was the same one. Suddenly, the Moonlight Fang Wolf appeared. It opened its mouth, saliva dripping, and began howling. Mu Luo quickly hid behind a tree, watching the pack of Moonlight Fang Wolves approach. Howling, he frowned and started casting a purple spell. The pack led by the wolf demon seems to be related to the snake demon. Such a fool, not knowing his own limits, seeking his own death. He placed the purple spell down, and the closest wolf demon was struck by a powerful lightning surge. The Wolf King quickly fled, howling. Mu Luo noticed this and thought, "Trying to run? You're dead now." As the Wolf King quickly ran, he thought, "It's so powerful. The black yin snake must be informed right away." Ahead was a cliff, and just as the Wolf King jumped down the cliff, Mu Luo used the lightning spell to shock the Wolf King's tail. The shock made it cry out in pain, tears forming in its eyes. Hua Hei, who was with the little white snake, turned around and sensed the disturbance. It was the Wolf King's howls. "This is bad. Could it be the snake hunters have found us already?" He quickly burrowed into the ground, calling out, "Little white snake, stay in the cave and watch over the snake fruit tree. Don't go outside." Hua Hei thought to himself, "I must take advantage of this time. Before they find us, I need to get as far away as possible." Standing on the cliff edge, Hua Hei used his sharp eyes to observe below and thought, "Even if I have to fight, it cannot be here. I don't know how strong this person is compared to Mu Yun." Hua Hei expanded his spiritual sense and thought, I've sensed someone." At that moment, two spiritual senses collided. Mu Luo, on the other side, smirked and thought, "Found you." He quickly rushed through the forest, silently clutching the bell in his hand. As his master had advised, it was just a snake demon with a fourth layer of spirit awakening. But his master had told him not to rush. "If I can stall for just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, master will arrive." Mu Luo secretly called out, then planned his next move. He saw the little white snake running away. Running already? But not too fast. Mu Luo evaluated in his mind. "Junior brother, this snake demon is incredibly cunning. Not only does it have superior fighting abilities, but it's also deliberately pretending to be weak to lure its opponent into a chase, waiting for a chance to strike back. I must be careful. It's not just about pretending to be weak. I know how to do that too." Hua Hei thought, "Not only that, I can also pretend to be a pig eating meat while the tiger is around." Mu Luo flew after Hua Hei, who was urgently fleeing. A fourth layer spirit awakening beast. Why would it need its master to intervene? I'm at the sixth layer of body cultivation. Killing you is as easy as breathing. Hua Hei turned his head, speechless, thinking to himself, this guy's cultivation is similar to Mu Yun's, but his speed is less than half of Mu Yun's. Clearly, he's pretending. Is this guy an idiot? What's this nonsense about needing his master to intervene? Does he mean his master will be here soon? Hua Hei still had to use his earth movement technique. He thought, this guy seems smarter than Mu Yun, but not by much. I can't afford to take risks. I'll run at full speed and see how he reacts. If he dares to chase me at full speed, then I'll deal with him. Mu Luo raised his hand, preparing to use his thunder seal. Suddenly, Hua Hei accelerated, really trying to run away. You little thief, where do you think you're going? Stop right there. Mu Luo flew up, launching lightning from the thunder seal. Hua Hei was startled, thinking, looks like he's getting impatient. The power of this magical treasure isn't weaker than half of my fireball technique. Mu Luo quickly dug into the earth, following after Hua Hei. Earth movement technique. I'm coming for you. You killed my CACA today. No matter what, I won't let you escape. Little beast, if you're so confident, stay and fight me. I don't even need my magical treasures to kill you. Hua Hei saw this and abruptly changed direction. HMPH. As expected, he's using all his strength to chase me. Now you won't have any way out. Will you?